Fadil Adams. However, in Adams' complaint, he never mentioned the PKTT, leading to Johnson being questioned what was the basis of her authorizing the investigation.
And the best person to answer would be the person who drew up this document and indicate the basis on which he lay for these documents.
No, I don't think that's right. No, that's not right. The best person to answer is the person that authorizes the summons. I think your investigators may well be entitled to put to you whatever they have gathered. You are the final decision maker.
The Commission's evidence leaders say more IDEC officials are scheduled to testify this week. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
An officer has defended his decision to search the home of one of the accused in the trial of Vusumuziket Matlala and 4 others without a warrant. Captain Alfred Sikhobela has told the Johannesburg High Court police could not afford to wait for a warrant because crucial evidence risked being moved or destroyed. Accused number 1 in this matter, Musa Kekana, is on trial alongside Matlala, his wife and 2 others facing 25 charges linked to 3 separate attempted murder incidents. Dimakato Leshoro has more.
Testifying in the trial within a trial tactical response team commander, Captain Pimi Alfred Sikhobela, says he relied on Section 22 of the Criminal Procedure Act, which permits police to conduct a search without a warrant where there's urgency or risk that evidence could be tampered with. Sikhobela says he rushed to Kekana's home in Kew after learning that a Hyundai i20 allegedly used in the fatal shooting of Vereeniging engineer Aman Swart had entered the property. He told the court his concern was that the vehicle was unguarded and could easily have been removed had police delayed to first obtain a warrant. Sikhobela says his confidence was based on the information available to him at the time, including surveillance conducted by Private Security Officer Christian Shepherd and video footage from the Vereeniging shooting scene. The court also heard that police seized Kekana's mustard-colored top for forensic testing to determine whether it contained gunshot residue because police believed Kekana had been the shooter in the Vereeniging murder earlier in the day. Dimakazo Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg High Court.
Lawyers for former Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula have pointed out inconsistencies in the version given by one of the complainants in her corruption case. Defence Force contractor Nombasa Ndlovu is the state's second witness testifying against Mapisa-Nqakula. She claims the former minister solicited 4.5 million rand between 2016 and 2019, and she says she ultimately paid her 2.1 million rand in bribes. John Ndlovu is the sole director of Umkhombe Marine, a company that has received tenders from the Defence Department since 2013. Khomoto Modise reports.
Deputy Defence Minister Bantu Holomisa is the main complainant in this case, as Nombasa Ndlovu confided in him about the alleged payments she had been making to former Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula. One of the apparent inconsistencies pointed out by Mapisa-Nqakula's lawyer, Siyabulela Mapoma, is that in his letter to Parliament, Holomisa mentioned a 200,000 rand bribe, but that was not mentioned by Nzondo Ndlovu during her testimony. He says one of them must be lying. Advocate Mapoma has also pointed out that Nzondo Ndlovu testified about Mapisa-Nqakula allegedly soliciting a 2 million rand bribe to secure a promotion for her husband, a senior military doctor, Noel Ndlovu. He's asked why she did not tell Holomisa about this, but she says she did not think he needed to know this. Khomoto Modise, Eyewitness News at the Pretoria High Court.
In the Western Cape, Mitchell's Plain Police are probing the murder of a man who was shot dead in Westridge just last night. The violence follows a wave of mass shootings across the Cape at the weekend. Gun violence claimed at least 15 lives in Kayamandi, Khayelitsha, Gugulethu and Manenberg. Police say no arrests have been made in connection with any of the gun attacks so far. The police's Wesley Twigg.
The circumstances surrounding a shooting incident where a 25-year-old male was fatally wounded are under investigation. Mitchell's Plain Police responded to a complaint of a shooting, and upon arrival on the scene, they found the victim who sustained gunshot wounds to his body. The motive for the attack is yet to be determined. The suspects fled the scene and are yet to be arrested.
And in Japan, authorities are on high alert after a 7.1 magnitude earthquake struck the southwestern parts of the country. The weather authority says no tsunami activity has been observed so far, despite an alert being issued. About 45,000 households and facilities have no power in the Kumamoto region following the quake. In 2016, Kumamoto was hit by two devastating earthquakes, which killed 273 people and injured more than 2,800 others. Japan is one of the world's most seismically active countries in the world, sitting on top of 4 major tectonic plates. Gold is trading at $4,033.86 an ounce. The rand is at 16.75 to the dollar, 22.27 to the pound, 19.04 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $85.21 a barrel.
Well, some good news in Kempton Park. That accident seen on the R21 southbound near Pomona Road has been cleared and traffic should be back to normal shortly. However, look out for those faulty traffic lights in Sharon Lee at Malibongo Drive and President Fushia.
In your sport, Banyana under WAFCON pressure following defeat to Tanzania. Mamelodi Sundowns' opening Betway Premiership fixture against Marumo Gallants postponed. And Asaze Hela returns to Springbok women's squad for the historic tour to Fiji.
It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 19 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Former head of IDAC, Andrea Johnson, has been accused of trying to throw her subordinates under the bus over the unit's unexplained investigation into the SAPS political killings task team.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Very good afternoon, everyone. It's 9 minutes past 3 on Tuesday, the 28th of July. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Welcome to the show. National Treasury today announced that municipalities which had their July grants withheld will now be paid out. Checks should be in by Friday at the latest. That's good news for those local authorities, certainly good news for workers who may not have been paid as a result, but this was meant to teach some important lessons to ensure that certain changes were made. Has that happened, or has national government blinked too soon? More on that after 5. As the National Student Financial Aid Scheme continues to battle through controversy of various kinds, questions are being asked about the high level of executive salaries and the huge cost of consultants. In fact, the new administrator of NSFAS has had his proposed salary sent back by National Treasury. Obviously, the person didn't put through their own salary, but National Treasury is pushing back there, and there are other issues as well. Does the performance of NSFAS justify all the spending? We'll talk about this after 4. When, if ever, can police enter a property without a warrant? Vusimuzi Matlala and 4 others facing 25 charges, including attempted murder and money laundering, are in the spotlight as this issue, amongst others, is currently being discussed.
Was there time for you to apply for a warrant that day? There was no time.
Before addressing apply experience Section 22 Criminal Procedure Act.
And when we entered the premises, I also applied my mind and my knowledge that Section 22 of the Criminal Procedure Act does allow the police to act without a search and seizure warrant if you strongly believe that there is an agency and that the delay might cause the evidence to be moved or destroyed.
Yeah, so very, very interesting stuff happening in that court case. Obviously, the key matter of the charges and proving them, but interesting points of law coming up as well. More on that shortly with our EWN colleague, Dimakatso Lishoro. And as always, in the last part of the show, some music. What, in your view, is the best song to send someone who's just broken up with you? I suppose depends on how you're feeling. Sad, angry, defiant? Well, the music has to speak for you. Maybe like this song. Kelly Clarkson, since you've been gone, I can breathe for the first time. I mean, whether you can say that with complete confidence or not, it's quite a nice thing to say to someone who's stood on your toes and broken your heart. Anyway, send us your selection. Best song to send to someone who's just broken up with you. Send us your choices, please, to 072 702 1702. On the markets, the good news is that the oil price is continuing to fall. Brent crude down again today, this time by $2.04, with a barrel trading at $86.80. Not much happening on the JSE. The All Shares down, but just by 230 points. Tungela's lost 4%. Implats is down by 3%. Pick and Pay weaker by 2.3%. Bucking the negativity, such as it is, though, is Canal Plus, up by 7.9%, soaring, while both Foschini and PHP, the healthcare company, have gained 3%. Rand trading at 16 Rand 78 against the dollar. A euro will cost you 19 Rand and 6 cents, and 22 Rand 29 will get you a pound. All these numbers pretty similar, the currency that is, to what we saw 24 hours ago. There are big shifts in precious metals. The gold price, handsomely up yesterday, is now down $44.02 a fine ounce is the loss. Platinum's down as well, $24.30. Stephen Curtis joins us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll have sport with Tola Kele Mganga. I'm really looking forward to her take on what went wrong with Banyana last night. Hugely disappointing to be part of history. Tanzania had never won a game at the AFCON finals before. Who'd want to give them that? But let's hear from Tola Kele. She's with us at 4:20. Karabo Charlie has the traffic news, and Bali Dlamini back with us and back at 3:30 with the very latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you'll hear it here first. But if there's something you know about that we do not know about, please do send us your story if we haven't heard about the story, or your take on a story that we might be covering but possibly not getting the right end of the stick. So 072 702 1702. If you want to do that by WhatsApp, 011 883 0702 if you're phoning for a chat. It's 14 minutes past 3. This is 702 Drive.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
I was reading a very interesting and somewhat heartbreaking story, an account from somebody, a true story, who was just talking about how they were introduced to alcohol at a very young age. There was nobody around helping to guide them through the pleasures and pitfalls, which is kind of the way I see it. Maybe not the way you see it, but let's leave that for the minute. Because the question I really want to ask you is this. Is there a good way, a better way to introduce young people to alcohol? Because it's out there. They'll be going to parties. There's plenty in the media and social media that's attracting young people to try drinking and see how that turns out for them. And in your own experience, maybe through parents or guardians of some kind, where alcohol was put in front of you in a way that, demystified it perhaps, but also, got it into the open and almost got the conversation started rather than leaving you to discover it for yourself. So I have stories of my own to share, but I'd love to hear yours before I share mine. 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. Jonathan Fairbairn, your experience to share?
Yeah, afternoon, John, and afternoon to the 702 family. So, I can't remember the specific age it was, but my parents were quite relaxed when it came to that. So they weren't of the opinion, you won't touch it and you have to be of legal age and all that kind of stuff. And my dad used to, if I remember, he used to come home every night and he'd have a couple of beers. next to him on his table there by the, watching the TV.
Right.
And yeah, I think what happened is, like let's say sort of special occasions, whatever it may be, maybe a Christmas or New Year's, whatever, we would be allowed to buy they would get us a hooch. Do you remember hooch?
It was like sweet alcohol.
Alcohol pop called hooch.
Yeah.
And we would maybe be allowed to have 2 or 3 of those when we were younger. So they were quite open about it. And also I think they wanted, in terms of getting a little bit drunk, the first sort of experience would be at home, so to speak, so that I'd feel what it would feel like rather than having that somewhere else where they wouldn't have any control or anything like that. So my first experience of, let's say, getting a little bit drunk would have been at home.
Yes.
At a little bit of an older age, like 16, 17, somewhere there. And it wasn't a great experience, I must say. But that's how I was kind of introduced to it. So that it was basically rather be experienced at home with it rather than being at a party and, you don't know what it is. You don't kind of know your limits in a certain way. So that was kind of my introduction to it.
Yeah, interesting. How about you, Karabochali? I mean, first of all, as you were growing up, but also as you start thinking about this with your young boy who will be not so young boy fairly soon. What are your thoughts?
So growing up, my parents were teetotal. They're very conservative. We never saw alcohol in the house at all. So how I got introduced was from my friends' parents. So they would maybe host a Sweet 16 party and then buy a whole lot of booze in the house with their supervision and stuff, and we'll get totally hammered. The next morning they'll make us breakfast and heal our hangovers. So that's how I kind of got into it, or got to experience it. And then as time goes, I think I was 16, 17. And then, on those occasions when I visited my friends, their parents were more relaxed about having a few beers and stuff like that. But at home, totally, it was a no. I would make sure I go home as sober as a judge. Regarding my son, I don't know how I'm going to handle this one.
Got some time to think.
I think I need to think about this. But I guess 16, 17, I'll gradually kind of introduce it to him if he's comfortable with it and see how it goes. Just like Jonathan says, it's better at home where you can monitor him than being too strict and not knowing what he gets up to wherever he is.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So I'd love to hear from all of you. Please do give us a call on 011 883 0702, your own experience of being introduced to alcohol by the adults in your life. And of course, your experience may be, well, I didn't have one. There was no conversation around that. And maybe if you've moved through those gears and are now looking after teenagers in your life, how are you going about it? Give us a call on that. I think it's a very interesting topic because it relates to the specifics of alcohol, but you could probably and possibly apply it to other areas of life as well. Give us a call, 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. 20 minutes past 3.
John Perlman
on 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, let's find out what's happening out on the roads. Karabo Charlie, what you got?
Yeah, there's already slow-moving traffic, John, in the Northcliffe area on Beyers Nordia between Judges and the N1, while in Devlin, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. Also driving into Lenasia, this is on the R554 Abu Bakr Drive. Expect some delays between the N12 and Nirvana Drive. Traffic lights still not working at Midrand at the R55 and Kenilworth. Also in Marlborough, traffic lights out of order at Marlborough Drive and Old Pretoria Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
Reports that 6 people have died in a head-on collision on the N2 near Mooiplaas, just outside Kugompo City in the Eastern Cape. That number now revised down to 5 people having been killed. Just a terrible, terrible accident. Unati Binqose, tell us what happened in this incident.
It was a head-on collision involving 2 small vehicles. One was a Renault Kwid Tweed and the other one was Ford Fiesta. Tweed unfortunately caught fire and the only occupant was bad beyond recognition. But we were able to track her relatives, and she was said to be a teacher who was on her way to work when the accident happened. And in the Fiesta, unfortunately, everybody was inside the vehicle, died on the scene.
Kai cuttings. I've driven that road on a very, very misty day, and it's terrifying.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
To all of you who took part in this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, thank you. This year, the Sunday Times partnered with Walk the Talk, so look out for all the coverage of Walk the Talk on Times Live and in the Sunday Times this Sunday. And remember, all of you who entered Walk the Talk have a 3-month digital subscription to the Sunday Times. Thank you for walking with the people, for the people, on the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Babize bonke.
Sharpen your competitive edge and get ready for the next installment of the Tournament of Champions. Do battle on the biggest stage and prepare for an epic showdown as you fight for your share of the 500,000 Rand prize. Bet R2 or more on selected spinner zonke slots to blaze a trail to the top of the leaderboard and claim victory.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
What kind of person do you think we need to be on the board of a public investment corporation?
It doesn't need a politician as chairperson, and it also does not need some of the designated board members who are stakeholders of GEPF. There is no cabinet minister right now with a kind of asset management experience to oversee a 3.8 trillion rand assets under management entity.
Songezo Zibi, the chair of Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking. Africa's energy future takes more than ambition. It takes turning plans into projects, opportunity into investment, intent into execution. At Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, we help connect the capital, expertise, and opportunity needed to bring sustainable projects to life across Africa. That's how we're invested in Africa's energy future.
When Joburg came together in the iconic CBD for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, unforgettable moments were made, and none of it would have been possible without our incredible partners.
This is Upusha Zasbia, and I'm the presenter for 702 Soulful Sunday. Today was an incredible day. We walked, many of us walked 8 kilometers. I know some of you walked 5, some 15, and it was a very special day, and I can imagine for everybody. Lots of sightseeing. I think for me, it must be walking through Marshalltown towards Risick Street. I think I've never walked in that direction before. So I think for me, that has to be my highlight. So thank you so much for being part of this momentous event. This year's Walk the Talk has to be the biggest one yet, and I think next year will be even bigger.
Thank you to all our partners who showed that great things happen when Joburg comes together for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Right, let's focus on that issue that I highlighted a little bit earlier. Under what circumstances can police officers say, listen, I didn't have a warrant, but you know what, if we didn't move straight away, there would have been destruction of evidence or some kind of risk that could make criminal conduct even worse. That has been front and center at the court case today involving Vusimuzi Matlala and 4 others. Giving evidence is someone from the Tactical Response Team, Captain Pimi Sikgobela, who was talking about why he took action without a warrant against one of the 4 accused by the name of Kekana. So let's find out exactly what was said and what the key threads of the conversation in the court were. And welcome to the show, Dimakatso Leshoro, EWN reporter. issues of search and seizure without a warrant very much front and center in regard to Musa Kekana, who is one of the accused. What are the key points that came up along that thread, Dimakatso? Good afternoon.
Hi, John. Indeed, if you remember, this is part of the reason why we have a trial within a trial, because the defense is disputing how some of that evidence that was obtained. We understand that on the day that the arrest happened, the police did not have a warrant of arrest, and they are saying that they are relying on a Section 22 of the Criminal Procedure Act, which allows them to effect an arrest and search and seizure if there's urgency and there is a belief or suspicion that if they were to wait for an arrest warrant, the property may be tampered with or may be moved. So on the day, they believed that Musa, it was just after the arrest of Musa Kekana, and they were concerned that one of the vehicles that was used in the shooting of Amanswat, they're alleging that these were the people that did that, and one of the cars that was involved was an I-20 Hyundai, and they believe that this car could be moved because when he was arrested in the second vehicle that is suspected was used in the killing, which is the Mercedes-Benz V-Class. So they went ahead with this without the arrest warrant, and they've justified in saying that, given the information that they've received from their sources, given the information that they received from the first witness in this trial within the trial, this is the private security operator, Christian Shepherd, as well as footage from the shooting, the crime scene. There is no judge or magistrate in South Africa who would not have given them a warrant. So they were confident that they would have a warrant of arrest.
Yeah, it's really quite a high level of engagement, dispute and debate in the court, and it will continue throughout today and over the coming days. Dimakatso Lishoro, EWN reporter, keeping an eye on that. Look out for her updates that are that will be in the news headlines and in the next news bulletin. 28 minutes past 3.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9. Reports from Zimbabwe suggest some poultry farmers are allegedly feeding antiretroviral medicines to chickens. These are the ARVs that are meant for HIV treatment. This is in the belief that the drugs help the birds grow faster and survive disease. Dr. Bester, say it isn't true.
I wish I could. I believe these farmers are desperate. They hope it helps to keep their chickens healthy and they profit a bit more.
Does it work?
No, it's a complete myth.
How likely could we see the development of some disease develop from all of this?
These survivor strains, they mutate, and that's what we now call superbugs. They will stay on the meat because they contaminate the meat often during the slaughtering process and basically find themselves to our kitchens and cause infections that basically cannot be cured anymore by normal medicine.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9
on 702.
This past Sunday, tens of thousands showed up to walk with the people, for our Jozi in the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Thank you for taking the scenic route with us, creating unforgettable memories and showing the world that Joburg is more than just a city. It's a remarkable energy that connects us all. Here's to Joburg, here's to us. Here's to 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize Bonke, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
That's Fani before he got naked. Fani's insurance premium went up for no reason, irritating him more than when the boys ignored the really, really, really funny meme he posted in the group chat. What? So Fani got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Go Fani. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani Sixt Rent a Car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani Sixt on sani.co.za.
Right, let's catch up with the rest of the breaking news. Public Investment Corporation CEO Patrick Dlamini is looking to have certain things sorted out by the courts. How's he getting on, Mbali? Good afternoon.
Well, John, a very good afternoon. Two parties have now intervened to join that PIC Corporation CEO Patrick Dlamini's urgent application challenging his suspension. The applicants argue they have an interest in the matter because they want to ensure the governance of the PIC, which manages public servants' pension funds, is properly scrutinized. Dlamini, who was placed on precautionary suspension earlier this month following a whistleblower complaint, is asking the court now to declare his suspension unlawful. Anelita Fandese has more.
Patrick Dlamini's counsel argues neither applicant, Mr. Noche, and people of Joburg has a direct substantial legal interest in the dispute. Counsel adds that neither applicant has presented evidence relating to the merits of Dlamini's suspension. Dlamini's lawyers also argued that although the PIC board filed a notice of intention to oppose the application, it has not filed affidavits explaining or defending the suspension, meaning the challenge remains effectively unopposed on its merits. Meanwhile, the court is proceeding with Dlamini's challenge to have his suspension declared unlawful. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
Action SA has introduced a private member's bill to regulate the lobbying industry and to prevent what the party calls another form of state capture. The party says the lobbying transparency bill is a direct response to recent reports on how former DA leader Tony Leon's Resolve Communications tried to influence Communications Minister Solly Malatsi on behalf of its client Starlink. Babalondenze has more.
Action SA's lobbying transparency bill was introduced by the party's chief whip, Lerato Ngobeni. She says the bill looks at international best practice to protect the country from lobbyists and companies that try to influence decision makers. The party says the private members' bill is to establish South Africa's first comprehensive statutory framework regulating professional lobbying and promoting transparency in political and executive decision making.
South Africa has long suffered the consequences of opaque influence over public decision-making, from the arms deal and the era of state capture to the Digital Vibes scandal, and most recently, allegations involving Resolve Communications.
Ngobeni says the proposed legislation will ensure professional lobbying conducted on behalf of paying clients is transparent, accountable, and subject to appropriate public scrutiny. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And Johnson & Johnson has offered to pay up to $5.5 billion to settle thousands of lawsuits over claims that its baby powder caused ovarian cancer. The proposed settlement would resolve around 76,000 cases in the United States, bringing an end to years of legal battles. But the company continues to deny the claims, insisting its products are safe and do not cause cancer. Johnson & Johnson says it's settling to avoid further lengthy court proceedings. The company stopped selling its talc-based baby powder in the US in 2020 and worldwide in 2022, replacing it with a cornstarch-based version. It's a fine afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 19 and 22 degrees.
Sandton heading towards the M1. Bumper-to-bumper traffic on Greyston Drive between Benmore and Catherine Street, while in Protea Glen, Soweto expect some delays. N12 West between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Lenasia also traffic sluggish on the R554. This is between the N12 and Nirvana Drive.
A top story in EWN. Two parties have intervened to join Public Investment Corporation CEO Patrick Dlamini's urgent application challenging his suspension.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Lawyers for Crime Intelligence Officer Dineo Mukweli say they are considering advising her to reject the provisional withdrawal of her fraud and corruption charges in favor of a permanent stay of prosecution. Mukweli was arrested along with 7 other crime intelligence officers last year for allegedly conspiring to hire her to a senior position which she allegedly wasn't qualified for. However, recent revelations at the Madlanga Commission have shown the case was without merit and Mukweli was actually suitably qualified for the role.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
If you have an unresolved dispute involving your bank, insurer, pension fund, or financial advisor, you can complain to a financial ombud for free. South Africa's financial ombud system, overseen by the Ombud Council, provides free, fair, and impartial dispute resolution. Whether it's through the National Financial Ombud, the Phase Ombud, or the Pension Fund's adjudicator, help is available. Visit ombudcouncil.org.za for more info.
Find your next design obsession at Decorex Joburg. From the 30th of July to the 2nd of August, the Sandton Convention Centre becomes the destination for the latest in decor and design. Explore over 450 exhibitors across 5 levels, inspiring talks and live demos, plus the property show by Private Property. Download the Decorex app and plan your visit today. Decorex Joburg, 30th July to 2nd August. Tickets at decorex.co.za and at the door.
That's Kefense, before she got naked. Kefense's premium went up twice last year, and she was more confused than when her ex said, "I need to find myself," and then found somebody else. So Kefense got naked. She got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Good for you, Kefense. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. Very interesting topic. Well, when I became a teen, my parents had emigrated, so I was living with my grandmom, and we used to come and visit them on holidays. So when I was 16, one day, my mom, after hearing that one of her friends was having trouble with her son, so she decided to send me the shops to buy her a couple of drinks and a couple of drinks for my aunt, and buy myself whatever I wanted to drink. And I was like, "Oh, all right, cool." And she's like, "No, I mean a beer. If you want one, it's fine with me." And so I was quite surprised, but I did nonetheless. And we played music and we had drinks, and then she told me that, "Look, if you ever want to have a drink, you have a drink here at home with me. You don't have to go and hide." And ever since then, and I've done the same with my daughter, and so far so good. Shivas in Boxburg.
Hi, John and the gang. So when I was growing up, every year at Christmas time, my mother would give us a Christmas toast of champagne. And that time we were very young. We were like 9, 10, very young. But we didn't turn into alcoholics because we knew it was something that you used just to celebrate. And then you go on with your life. But I also think it stems from the fact that my mother had a alcohol problem that I never really, even now, I just drink alcohol on occasions, but not forever. And then with my own kids, they we also have given them alcohol to drink only on Christmas times. And I think they learned from us that alcohol is to be consumed in moderation. So is it moderation? Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we've got a really interesting debate here. And Kolani says the best way to safely introduce young people to alcohol is not to introduce them to alcohol. While there are many people who drink responsibly, there are far too many whose lives have been destroyed because of alcohol. He concludes, "I personally don't recommend alcohol, nor will I introduce my kids to alcohol. I had a bad childhood, mainly due to alcohol." Keep those coming. We've got plenty more from you, and we'll be interested to get your thoughts. The question I asked is there a way to responsibly and safely and with real intention just introduce young people to alcohol? And I get the people who are saying, "Listen, I'm simply not going to do this." And we've got a message I'll read a little bit later saying, actually, this is illegal. You can't drink when you're younger than 18. I'll read that out for you a little bit later. But please do keep them coming. I think it's an important debate. 20 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kelly, what happened last night with Banyana? Your take?
We were just devoid of all ideas. We were slow in attack. Defense just wasn't alert. And even with the substitutions, nothing really changed because the players just weren't hungry enough to want the win. And Tanzania, as desperate as they are, kind of showed that they're a little bit sharper and are able to perform when the occasion called for it.
Okay, and you've got some reaction from Desiree Ellis.
Absolutely, John. And Banyana's WAFCON campaign got off on the wrong note as they suffered a 2-1 defeat to Tanzania in their Group B opener. The 3 points saw the Tigwa Stars register their first ever tournament win, while it's back to the drawing board for Desiree Ellis and South Africa, who must win their final 2 pool games to stand any chance of qualifying for next year's World Cup and, of course, lifting a second continental title.
We're not out of it yet. We know what we need to do. The next game becomes a must-win game, which is going to be very important. I think everybody's disappointed with the result. Everybody's disappointed with the performance. But we have to look towards the next game because we're still in it. We're still on to want to qualify for the World Cup. But it's a must-win in the next game. And we obviously said how important this game is because then you're chasing in the group. And we're chasing in the group and now it's up to us to raise our standards and show who we really are.
The PSL have granted Mamelodi Sundowns' request to have their opening Betway Premiership fixture against Marumo Gallants postponed. That follows the disruption of their pre-season preparations. The Brazilians were scheduled to host the fixture at Loftus Versfeld on Saturday, but it's been now moved to the 19th of August after their pre-season program was affected by the death of midfielder Jaden Adams. Masandawana's first local fixture will now be the MTN 8 quarter-final against Polokwane City. That one takes place on the 8th of August. Switching over to rugby, where Asazehele has been included in the Springbok women's touring squad of 26 players that will travel to Fiji for a 2-test series. She had missed the Rugby Africa Women's Cup back in May, as well as the 2-test series against the United States earlier this month after having hand surgery. Lindy Luegala's back after recovering from a calf injury, while Patience Mugwana and Zintle Mpupa also make a return to the squad. For the men, they're gearing up for the much-anticipated Rugby Greatest Rivalry series against New Zealand. Dave Rennie named his 44-man squad for it as he recalled Ethan Blackadder, who missed the entire Nations Championship tests in July.
He's obviously had a lot of injuries over time, but when he played this year, he's really impressive. He's just a massive engine, physical, and he offers a point of difference around that. And we haven't got sort of the big, powerful, loose forward like him. And yes, he's really destructive defensively, and we think he adds a point of difference as well.
And at the same time, Argentina have named 10 uncapped players in their squad for the internationals against the Springboks in Australia next month, with coach Felipe Contempo having to do without several experienced names who are unavailable due to club commitments. Julian Montoya and Batista Delgado will all miss due to their European club responsibilities, while Benjamin Odiz and Tobias Waite are amongst the new faces in the squad. Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes to 4, Karabo Chali time.
Thank you, John. Well, at this stage, bumper traffic. This is leaving Sandton, heading towards the M1 on Greyston Drive between Benmore and Catherine Street, while in Protea Glen. Expect some delays. N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Still in Lenasia, traffic sluggish on the R554 Abu Bakr Drive between the N12 and Nirvana Drive. Northcliffe, slow-moving traffic on Bayers Nordia between Judges and the N1. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in North Riding at Malibongo Drive and Witkoppen. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Tolakele, we've just been talking about alcohol and young people, and is there a way in which you, in a family situation, can recognize the reality that young people are going to be exposed to alcohol and say, okay, well, maybe you should have your first taste of beer or whatever it is, sitting around a table with your family, or as some of our listeners very, very strongly feel, and I want to share this voice note with you. Let me just find it. Here we go. Chico says, the legal drinking age in South Africa is 18 years old. This means you must be at least 18 to buy, possess, or drink alcohol. I'm surprised you proudly say you will introduce alcohol to your kids at 16, and you also started at 16. Chico finishes by saying, it is wrong. What's your take? I mean, there's a good debate going. Where do you stand?
I don't think it's necessarily introducing your kid to alcohol at that age. It's the recognition of the fact that they're curious and their peers are probably already underage drinking. So rather than kind of making it seem like, okay, I'm going to ban you and I know that you're still going to try and do this thing behind my back, rather we create an open and honest policy. So whether it be around the family dinner or maybe get cousins that they regard as the cool cousins to be like, okay, if we're at this event, can you sit with them and you be the one that buys this alcohol? But also you also measure it out and say to them, it's 2 bottles, nothing else after that. And if you guys feel the need to drink again, you only do it around me. You can't do it with people that you don't know, because you are teaching them that you can try and take a risk with things, but also know that there's people who are safety nets that will protect you and will look after you. Because once they start doing the drinking behind your back, it just leads to so much hiding and lying that will just make it difficult for the relationship to be repaired.
Yeah, no, I mean, here's a strong view from Quinn, who says, when your father comes home with empty pockets after gambling the monthly salary at the races and crashes his car through the garage wall, connecting to the bathtub with you sitting in it, then you can have an opinion. It's like everything with modern society. You think you've experienced it all, but you're nothing but posers looking for attention, referring presumably to us on the team. But Quinn finishes with an important point, and let me share it with you. Alcoholism is real and leaves devastating effects in its wake. And that's undeniably true. I'm not going to engage with the stuff about whether we're looking for attention or not. I mean, don't think that's really the point. But this debate for me is really interesting because it speaks to other debates we have, for example, around sex education, about whether a conversation and a connection to something that is perhaps becoming an increasing reality, either as in terms of activity or just stuff kids are getting exposed to, is the best way to deal with it by saying, hey, listen, this is something you don't do because it can only have dire consequences, or do you take another approach? My own view is, and by the way, I've read this, and people who've grown up in places like Italy and Mediterranean parts of Europe, which, as I understand it, have less alcoholism and less public drunkenness than countries like the UK, which seem to be more strict, and where and please, people, if you've lived in Italy and have a romantic view of it, that alcohol is seen as something you have with food, and you have it in a family setting or around in a public space like a restaurant. Maybe they get different results, and there are so many factors that will determine how alcohol affects people's lives. I get that as well. But yeah, let's keep the debate going, and thank you for your contributions. 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's 11 minutes to 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Right, let's talk to Mpumi, who's on the line from Kwatima. Hi, Mpumi.
Hi, John. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yes, on the topic, I was introduced very early on, and personally, I would not be doing it for my kids. I understand my parents were just saying they want us to be responsible in the home, no alcohol, but it had dire consequences for my younger sister. So she went to rehab.
Yes.
She drank a lot. She was dependent. Personally, I feel it's not something that I would want to introduce to my kids.
Yeah.
We were introduced around 10 just as a celebratory, but when I was around 16, 17, they would buy me alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I just said no. They'll learn it somewhere else. It's not my job to teach them how to drink responsibly, because sometimes it doesn't work like that.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, Mpumi, thank you. And you know, the importance of that call and all the other contributions we're getting is that you can generalize about things as, you know, I suppose inevitably I am. But at the same time, there are very, very particular versions of an experience that you can outline as either a good idea or a bad one. And there's so many other things going on at the same time. But yeah, I think it's a good debate, and we're well into it. and we'd love your thoughts and contributions. 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. 10 minutes to 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's continue with what we've been doing over a couple of days, looking at what I think is, again, another very important and healthy debate in our society about the way money that is available to government for sports development is actually allocated. And there's no denying or avoiding the fact that this has very much been prompted by the fact that 31 million rand was spent taking quite a large number of people to the World Cup in 2026. I felt it was a debate we tried to have. We certainly had a little stab at it when the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture said they were going to give 20 million rand to introduce VAR to a football league that I think has a substantial amount of funding already. But what we've been doing over the last few days, we spoke about hockey, field hockey, women's hockey in particular, when we spoke to Untatile Zulu, who had publicized what she was having to put in as a player in order to go to the World Cup in Belgium next month. We had a conversation yesterday with Wesley Barton from The Citizen about the athletics under-20 team, whose participation in the World Champs, which I think are in Oregon in the United States, really one of the iconic places for track athletics, by the way. And their participation has been put at some kind of jeopardy because money they had expected, they had been told they'd be getting from sports, had not actually come through. So let's talk about a federation that, with a relatively small participation base, and I say that with complete respect, and not a huge amount of money necessarily, has produced some really shining Olympic gold moments, notably at the Olympics in London a couple of years back. Rowing South Africa has got some issues that they are also trying to deal with as they battle funding challenges. Ben Bernand is president of Rowing South Africa and joins us on the show. Very good afternoon to you, and thanks very much for your time. How much do you depend on government for funding, if at all? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John, and thanks for this opportunity. I like the way you started, and I like your show for the point of, we've got to have this conversation and this discussion. So with regards to how much we rely on sort of the department or government in general, I am going to start off with that our step of point from a rowing perspective is we try to self-fund. We don't want reliance on other people. We don't want handouts. And I've got to position this as well. We're very fortunate. We have now a decade-long relationship with RMB. We have one of the top 5 programs with the National Lottery, and that was both for delivery and for governance. We have affiliation fees, and then, yes, we have benefited from DSAC money and SASCOC money. So we try spread, so we're not dependent or reliant on anyone. But probably our biggest challenge, and I think as I hear the other sports, the biggest challenge is confidence and cadence.
Yes.
And because as sports, we want to commit to these things. I very much like the other sports. We just had our under-23s return from Germany. And again, we are super proud. Eight athletes who went top 6 in the world.
Wow.
But, the reason I was willing to take this call, I wouldn't be doing justice to our constituents and those parents, because we've got parents mortgaging their homes for the talented, disciplined, committed children to represent our country. And so, yes, so we are thankful and grateful for what we get, but at the same time, the challenge is confidence and cadence, predictability.
Yeah, and I think part of this big debate is, to my mind at least, is to have a very clear sense of what it is that the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture is meant to do. Let's zone in on the sport part, but I suspect it applies to arts and culture as well. I mean, for example, the Minister authorized, and the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Sport said, hang on a bit, this isn't in the budget, 85 million rand for the rights to stage a live golf event. Now, his argument in his defense, and it's a plausible one, is that, well, once we had that event, hundreds of millions of rand flowed into the country, tourists, etc., etc. Surely the question we should be asking, though, is that needs to be done by the country, but should it be done out of the budget for sport? Shouldn't the budget for sport be carefully defined as nurturing and developing sports all the way from grassroots to the elite level?
Again, a great topic. And I've got to be careful here. I don't want to pander one way or the other.
Yes.
But I am going to make a statement, having only been in this role for 2 years.
Okay.
I have absolute sympathy for anyone in a leadership role in sports or art and culture. And it's specifically when you need to make decisions about what to fund. We live in a country and you go, I could do it better. It is challenging, but I absolutely agree with you, is being clear, having clear mandates, almost like a fund to go, what is our mandate? What are we trying to achieve? And then there could be space to say, we're going to invest in this. It's going to bring in revenue. I can use that revenue for arts and culture and other sports.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's why we sort of go, it's about good debate, getting different perspectives, but a clear vision. And again, I'm going to go and I'm going to drum this drum. It's that cadence, it's that confidence. So if we were clear, we're going to do live golf, we understand we're going to do it, and then what's the follow on from that? So again, our challenge is confidence to be able to move forward, and that's based on what is committed to.
Yeah, and just finally, Los Angeles 2028, that's very much a shining light on a not-so-distant hill anymore. Are you on track for that? I don't know if you ask if rowers are on track. Are you in stroke for that? Because it's you can't get ready 4 months before. You've got to compete in other events. You've probably got to spend some time racing your rivals and checking them out. Does the next 2 years look at least reasonably smooth water for you?
I wish I could say smooth horses, but or smooth water. Sorry, it's a challenge, but we're fairly confident. Again, we try to be scientific, and you're 100% right. Anyone who thinks we can prepare for an Olympics a year before, 2 years before, I don't think it's been close enough to high performance systems. Realistically, you almost need to have an 8-year run at it. So we're planning for LA 2028.
Yes.
But when I mentioned our under 23s now, we're looking at Brisbane. And that's also important for our country to understand and acknowledge, to develop world-class athletes who are going to represent us and make us proud, is an 8-year run.
Thank you so much. Fascinating there from Ben Bernand, President of Rowing South Africa. He mentioned RMB, and congratulations to them. They've funded rowing, and rowing, I think, has delivered very successfully. He mentioned Lotto money, so well done to Lotto on putting money into a really good sports venture. Lotto's had some bad publicity, but this one seems to have worked well. 702 Drive, lots to talk about there. Give us your thoughts.
Mama Million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. Did you know the total number of Powerball winners in June are 4,001,000? Listen carefully. 4,152,822, and the total prize money won is over 530 million rand. So play Powerball and catch live draws on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakai.
Oh, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers 2 options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual-action, soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple-action, pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
It's just Andalex it.
Andalex, a proud sponsor of The Masked Singer Season 3.
This is EWN.
The EFF approaches the Concord to appeal Ramaphosa impeachment decision, and is Andrea Johnson throwing her subordinates under the bus? Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. We begin with news just in. The EFF is approaching the Constitutional Court to appeal a High Court interdict which stopped impeachment proceedings against President Cyril Ramaphosa. The party joins the African Transformation Movement, which has also approached the Apex Court to appeal Friday's ruling in the Western Cape High Court granting Ramaphosa's application to interdict the inquiry. The parties have challenged the High Court for blocking the inquiry from proceeding pending Ramaphosa's review application of the independent panel report that led to this inquiry. The Western Cape High Court ruling is facing another challenge as the parties continue their legal fight to have the impeachment inquiry against the president continue. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana says the decision to release previously frozen municipal funding is aimed at protecting residents from disruptions to basic services. Earlier today, National Treasury confirmed it will release the remaining 7.1 billion rand in equitable share funding later this week. The money forms part of the July equitable share allocation that was initially withheld from 69 municipalities over serious financial failures. These include unpaid debt to Eskom as well as water boards, unfunded budgets and irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Godongwana says the money will be released even though many municipalities remain in breach of financial management laws.
The equitable share is an important source of funding for the basic services, particularly service provided for poor households. National Treasury must therefore balance its constitutional responsibility to enforce financial management requirements with the need to avoid communities carrying the immediate consequences of failure by municipality.
Former head of IDAC, Andrea Johnson, has been accused of trying to throw her subordinates under the bus over the unit's unexplained investigation into the SAPS political killings task team. KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi previously accused Johnson and IDAC of being part of a fight to disband the PKTT for ulterior motives. Johnson is currently testifying before the Madlanga Commission on IDAC's investigation into the PKTT. Thabiso Goba reports.
In April last year, as head of IDAC, Andrea Johnson signed off on a prosecution memo which authorized her investigators to probe the political killings task team. The basis of the investigation stemmed from a complaint laid by National Coloured Congress Member of Parliament Fadil Adams. However, in Adams' complaint, he never mentioned the PKTT, leading to Johnson being questioned what was the basis of her authorizing the investigation.
And the best person to answer would be the person who drew up this document and indicate the basis on which he lay for these documents.
No, I don't think that's right. No, that's not right. The best person to answer is the person that authorizes the summons. I think your investigators may well be entitled to put to you whatever they have gathered. You are the final decision maker.
The Commission's evidence leaders say more IDAC officials are scheduled to testify this week. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
An officer has refused to identify the source of the information that led police to alleged hitman Musa Kekana in the trial of Vusumuzi Matlala and 4 others. Captain Alfred Sikhobela has told the Johannesburg High Court disclosing the person's identity could put their life at risk. Sikhobela is facing cross-examination as the defense probes the origin of the intelligence that led police to Q in Johannesburg, where Kekana was arrested. Kekana is on trial alongside Matlala, his wife and 2 others, facing 25 charges linked to 3 separate attempted murder incidents. The defense repeatedly pressed Sikhobela today to disclose whether the source was an informant or a police officer. Through an interpreter, Sikhobela refused to comply.
With due respect, my lord, I won't be able to divulge my source's name because I'll be putting my source's life at risk.
And in Bosnia, a popular Catholic pilgrimage site has been vandalized and a nearby altar set alight. The vandalism at Apparition Hill comes days before tens of thousands are expected to gather at the shrine for an annual prayer gathering. Security camera footage published by local outlet Jabuka TV shows a man setting fire to the outdoor altar of the nearby St. James's Church. Some of the graffiti, written in both Polish and English, appear to attack people who communicate messages from the reputed apparitions known locally as visionaries. The Medjugorje Parish Office has confirmed that the planned event would still go ahead and that repairs are already underway. Gold is trading at $4,033.86 an ounce. The rand is at 16.75 to the dollar, 22.27 to the pound, 19.04 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $85.21 a barrel.
Leaving Sandton, heading towards the M1, we still have bumper-to-bumper traffic on Greyston Drive between Benmore and Catherine in the Joburg CBD. Travelling towards Boysen, slow-moving traffic on the M1 southbound between Killarney Bends and the Crown Interchange. Protea Glen Soweto, you can still expect some delays. This is N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558.
In your sport, Banyana under WAFCON pressure following defeat to Tanzania. Mamelodi Sundowns' opening Betway Premiership fixture against Marumo Gallants postponed. And Asaze Hela returns to Springbok women's squad for their historic tour to Fiji.
A partly cloudy Wednesday with isolated rain and showers expected in Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 5 degrees, peaking at 17. Pretoria 7 and 20, and Vereeniging 3 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: the EFF is approaching the Constitutional Court to appeal a High Court interdict which stopped impeachment proceedings against the president.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 7 minutes past 4. Good to have you with us on the show. Coming up shortly, we're going to be taking a closer look at NSFAS and what is spent in running the organization, particularly at its highest levels. This is prompted by news coming out today, a good piece on the News 24 site by Soyiso Maliti, saying that Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has questioned, challenged, possibly even shot down Department of Higher Education and Training Minister Buti Manamela's proposed 5.5 million rand annual remuneration package for the administrator of NSFAS, Hlengani Matebula. This follows on some other stories that have appeared again on the same platform and by the same journalist, raising questions about money that is to be allocated for consultants and for advisors to the administrator of NSFAS. All of it is raising the larger question: is this the best and most cost-effective way of making sure that needy South African students who need financial aid to make their way through tertiary education, is NSFAS the best and most cost-effective way of doing it? We'll chat about that to Professor Linda Meyer, visiting professor at the Nelson Mandela University, who's got some very strong views. Just heads up, she believes there's another way of doing it and a much better way of doing it. Later in the show, we'll look at the question that has come up at the trial of Vusimuzi Matlala Musikekana and 3 others. This is the group of people in the dock facing 25 charges, including attempted murder and money laundering. And the question that's arisen there is, under what circumstances can police proceed with their actions without a warrant? It's very much front and center in a crucial part of the state's case. Ulrich Roo, who is an expert on criminal law and managing director at Ulrich Roo and Associates, will be joining us for his view at 10 minutes to 5. We've been having a very, very interesting debate, I think, about alcohol and whether there's a case to be made for introducing young people to alcohol in the home. A glass of beer, maybe a glass of champagne at Christmas was the one example given. Or is this, firstly, against the law and should simply remain as that, against the law and recognized and respected as such? Or is this a practical and realistic way of adults who are having some say in the life of younger people recognizing that alcohol is out there, temptation will be out there, and maybe the best thing to do is help them navigate it by, to some degree, bringing this home? Very interesting and important debate, and a lot of you have had some very, very interesting and in some instances very personal things to say about that, and thank you for that.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hello, Daddy John. I think that alcohol and drinking thereof should start at home because you remove the whole mystery and the whole you're doing the wrong thing as a teenager. My son's first alcoholic drink was given to him by me. My son's first club experience was given to him by me. I think it's a good idea to demystify things that could hurt us and actually talk about them openly in our homes. Thank you for a brilliant show. Bye. It's Linda.
Hi, John. There's research on alcohol that says that it's very damaging for the brain, even for adults. So yes, I understand like introducing your kids to it, but like I feel like 10, 11, 12 is like way too young, especially because of the impact it has on the brain. Even a small volume of alcohol, So yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's like introducing your kids to weed. It's the same thing for me.
Hi, John. It's Manford here. I'm 58 now. There are two things that I told myself I will never touch: alcohol and nicotine, cigarettes. Anything that people smoke, no. Drinking, not at all. I have never touched those. My kids, currently, the other one is at university, the other one is working. They don't drink as well. I think they took it from me. I never say they should not drink. I just advise them that, guys, this is what happens to alcohol. This is what is caused by alcohol. This is what happens if you smoke. So they took it from me. So far so good. I'm great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for those wonderful suggestions. I'm very glad my parents didn't take me to my first club. I'm not sure how that would have gone. I think they took me to the local bowls club to play tennis or whatever it does, the Northcliffe Country Club, to be exactly precise. But yeah, my own experience. Friday night, we would celebrate Shabbat, the Sabbath, so there's always wine that was blessed and bread, and I think at a certain age, a glass was passed around and we'd all have a little sip of wine, and it kind of began from there. Also wine on one of the important holidays, Passover. So, yeah, that was my route into it, really. And who's to say it was the right way of doing it? Judith says she says, in connection to the very interesting subject of alcohol and drinking it, alcohol comes in people, not bottles, and says 23 and a half years sober by the grace of God. Judy, thank you. Is congratulations even enough to say to somebody who's dealt with a problem and sustained that for so many years? I can't imagine what that takes, but yeah. Congratulations. I don't have other words. 14 minutes past 4 when we come back. We'll take a closer look at NSFAS, but traffic first.
EWN Traffic.
14 minutes past 4. As I said, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie, where are we having problems? I understand Protea Glen is a snag spot.
Yeah, the southwestern township heading into Protea Glen. John, you can expect about a 20-minute delay on the N17 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558. Still in Protea Glen, traffic sluggish. R559 Main Road opposite GOG Gardens. In the Joburg CBD, heading towards Boysen, slow-moving traffic, M1 South from Killarney Benz to the Crown Interchange, while in Kempton Park. Expect some delays on Modderfontein Road between Laurie and Parklands Drive. Edenville, also bumper-to-bumper traffic driving into Bedford View. That's the R24 westbound from Edenville Road to the Gilulis Interchange, while in Northcliffe, traffic remains a bit sluggish on Bayers Nordia between Judges and the N1. For the latest traffic updates, so you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
15 minutes chatting with your office bestie goes by quickly, but 15 minutes stuck in traffic just drags on. Fortunately, the OUTsurance pointsmen are here to save the day. These heroes in green and purple have been easing traffic congestion for the past 20 years. The OUTsurance pointsmen, helping everyone get where they need to be, quickly and safely. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using hashtag pointsmenlove. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Lawyers for Crime Intelligence Officer Dineo Mukwele say they are considering advising her to reject the provisional withdrawal of her fraud and corruption charges in favor of a permanent stay of prosecution. Mukwele was arrested along with 7 other crime intelligence officers last year for allegedly conspiring to hire her to a senior position which she allegedly wasn't qualified for. However, recent revelations at the Madlanga Commission have shown the case was without merit and Mukwele was actually suitably qualified for the role.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
What happens if an attorney steals money you've entrusted to them, and who protects you? Find out on Aubrey Masango's law feature, where Dr. Mutlatsi Mulife, CEO of the Legal Practitioners Fidelity Fund, will join 702 to unpack the role of the fund, who it protects, when you can claim, and why every South African should know about it. Don't miss this informative conversation this Tuesday on the Aubrey Masango Show from 8 p.m.
We're giving you millions of reasons to celebrate with our selection of Lucky Millions Lotto draws. You could claim major jackpots when you pick numbers from thousands of daily draws. Choose numbers on UK 49s, Euro Millions, and lots more from just R5 per line. Enjoy more chances and more ways to win, all in one place. Grab your chance to celebrate extraordinary riches when you play Lucky Millions from Hollywood Bets. Bet now.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
That's Liesel, before she got naked. Liesel checked her insurance premium and got angrier than the time a teenager called her tiny. So Liesel got naked and got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds, all on the Naked app. There we go, Liesel. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
When Joburg came together in the iconic CBD for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, unforgettable moments were made, and none of it would have been possible without our incredible partners.
My name's Rob Olsen-Define. Today's been mind-blowing, actually. It was so amazing to see how many people turned up, how they contributed, how they engaged, and I think people loved it. So Nando's partnered with 702 for this walk as one of the very proud founder members of Josie My Josie. The 5-kilometer route walks straight past our front door. We put on an amazing show, which I hope people loved, but we are of these streets and we could not have it a different way. I can see no good reason why Nando's would not join us again next year.
Thank you to all our partners who showed that great things happen when Joburg comes together for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
19 minutes past 4. So a couple of stories on News 24 caught my eye. The first one by Soyiso Maliti, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. I'll read the first paragraph. Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana has shot down the Department of Higher Education and Training Minister Buti Manamela's proposed 5.5 million rand annual remuneration package for the National Student Financial Aid Scheme Administrator, Hlengani Matebula. There's been, as you know, a lot of turbulence and upheaval at NSFAS. And later in the piece, the story reads, Godongwana has proposed that the salary package be, quote, reconsidered and aligned, end quote, with the remuneration of previous administrators and with other NSFAS and university administrator appointments. And then a couple of days back, by the same journalist, Soyiso, he first of all reported that 4 consultants were going to be appointed. No, not consultants, I beg your pardon. 4 advisors to the administrator were going to be appointed, and they would be paid almost 2.5 million rand each per year. And then on top of that, after spending 222 million rand on consultants in the last financial year, there was a proposal to spend 185 million this year, 139 million the following year, and 145 the year after that, again on consultants. So add it all together, this is a lot of money at a time when people are asking questions as to whether NSFAS is in fact the best way of getting funds in a sustainable way that is absolutely has absolute integrity to disadvantaged South Africans who need the support to get into the world of tertiary education and get out the other end with a degree. One person who has very strong views on this is my next guest. Professor Linda Meyer is the MD at Rosebank International and a visiting professor at Nelson Mandela University. Prof, a very good afternoon to you. You've said on other platforms that this is the wrong vehicle. Tell us why you say that. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Yes, absolutely it is the wrong vehicle, and this obviously is premised on several reasons. The first is that we are already expending half of the Department of Higher Education and Training's budget to universities directly, so there's absolutely no reason why we have this middleman vehicle that has several deficiencies. The first being that they don't have an integrated ICT system, a technology platform where they get the information from universities. So they are completely reliant on universities and act as a middleman. And you raise very important points around how the expenditure is happening. Now, when an institution such as NSFAS is spending 535 million between, they plan between 2025 and 2029 on consultants, and they don't have the basics to run effectively. They're perpetually being put under administration because they can't manage themselves. And this guise of perpetually appointing administrators and consultants, what exactly are we saying? When we expend half the money to universities, they account for it absolutely fine. And then we have this vehicle that is seen by taxpayers every day as a complete waste of money. And if we didn't have this in the mix, we would be able to fund an additional 15,000 students directly through bursaries through the NSFAS system.
You talk about them not having an integrated ICT system. In other words, instead of being able to just go click and say, John Perlman is doing third year for the third time, or whatever it is that's involved in making a decision, or this person keeps passing with flying colors, next, let's get them their money, and on there they go. If that were to be introduced, would you need some government agency, not necessarily like NSFAS, but would you locate something, for example, within the Department of Higher Education that had some kind of overview on the spending as a whole, as opposed to a university which would only deal with their part of the allocation?
Absolutely, John. So there's no reason why a branch can't be created in the Department of Higher Education and Training, and we then have a deputy director general, a chief director, and directors that run with the same oversight that they currently use in the oversight of the other money that is expended to universities. So absolutely, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Oversight is important, but that we start having an integrated system that speaks to the realities and the context in which we currently are is very important for us to optimize efficiencies and cut out waste, because really this is at the crux of the matter.
The word consultants is wonderfully vague, and I'm quite sure in some instances it refers to people of excellence and integrity who actually add value. But is that not part of the problem, that there appears to be a whole cluster of people supporting an institution that already has, I think it's fair to say, fairly expensive senior executives?
Absolutely. And if we look at their track record, it has been one that has always relied on consultants, or it has always been in the system of reliance for universities to expend the money. So certainly when we speak about consultants and advisors, why are they there? How can an administrator, we are proposing, or the minister, and I must say I had very high hopes for this minister, but these type of decisions really are laughable at best. Want to employ somebody that was a professor at a business school at 11 million rand over 24 months. That means that he'd be earning more than the actual minister and the director general of the department. Now, when we have the system where there's this proliferation of activities, when any logical interpretation would know that we have to have these efficiencies so that we pay people properly,
yes,
and that systems work. But you can't have a system where the university has to tell you every month whether the money that must come to them, what money must come to the student. They must verify it, and then you send it to the very university that then has to send it to the students. So really, this entire system, anybody with half a brain cell can see that this entire system is predicated on a process that is set up for failure.
Professor Linda Mayer, thank you. Visiting Professor at Nelson Mandela University and also MD at Rosebank International. Give us your views on this. NSFAS, always a subject of very interesting and important debate. Some people have been served very well by it and they've called in to say so. Other people have been deeply frustrated. And then there's a larger conversation about value for money. Now, just to say this, we did ask the Minister of Higher Education to come on the show through one of the spokespeople for the department. We got this message. Please note that this is an ongoing process. We can come and talk to you once it has been concluded. So we'll hopefully get Minister of Higher Education, Buti Manamela, on the show at some point to chat about this. 27 minutes past 4.
More million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. Did you know the total number of Powerball winners in June are 4,001,000? Listen carefully. 4,152,822, and the total prize money won is over 530 million rand. So play Powerball and catch live draws on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakai.
This past Sunday, tens of thousands showed up to walk with the people, for our Jozi in the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Thank you for taking the scenic route with us, creating unforgettable memories and showing the world that Joburg is more than just a city. It's a remarkable energy that connects us all. Here's to Joburg, here's to us, here's to the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize Bonke, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
What's for dinner tonight, South Africa? Hiya, Jamie Oliver here. Dinner stress? Forget it. I've teamed up with Checkers to bring you some of my favourite recipes the whole family will love. Like my tasty superfood quinoa salad, veggie, gluten-free and packed with goodness. Easy peasy and delicious. Shop the ingredients on Checkers 6060 and boom, delivered in 60 minutes. Every week, 5 brand new dinner ideas. Checkers, dinner done better.
Do you ever get that wake up, dress up, show up kind of energy? Well, it's final voter registration weekend. On the 1st and 2nd of August from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., registration stations open across South Africa. So show up and register to vote in the upcoming local government elections. Call 0800 11 8000, visit elections.org.za or WhatsApp 0600 8800 00 for more info. This message is brought to you by the IEC.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis at 29 minutes past 4. The markets, please.
Good afternoon to you, John. Yeah, oil prices sort of holding steady. The JSE All Share down 0.22%, 109,871 points. Financials up 0.12%. Industrials up 0.2%, and resources down 1.72%. But a standout day for Canal Plus. They're up 9.39%. I think that's probably their biggest jump since they listed. They did release interim results yesterday. They showed that for the first time time in a while. DSTV has been able to increase its number of subscribers. Also, lots of actions in France. Now, they're doing a lot more productions there and sort of trying to be the sort of non-American kind of competitor in the streaming business. I must just say, with the DSTV figures, a lot of talk about whether or not that's because of the Football World Cup. I'm sure that was a factor, but just to say, there was another broadcaster where you could get the Football World Cup as well for free. So I don't know how big a factor that was, but a strong day for them. The Foschini Group up 4.37%, AB InBev up 3%, and British American Tobacco up around 3% as well today. Boxer reporting their turnover for the 20 weeks to the 19th of July, growing by over 7%, like-for-like growth of 2.2%. That's lower than their turnover growth in the first half of the year. And their internal selling price inflation, I should say deflation, 1.9%. In other words, their prices dropped in price by 1.9%. But John, don't forget the stats to say figures. I mean, rice, I think, was down by 13% in price. Maize meal is down, so that's one of the reasons. They opened 6 superstores, and last night on the Money Show, we talked about how many more liquor stores they are. They opened 6 superstores and 13 liquor stores. Kumba Iron Ore reported confirming its guidance of last week that its interim profits will be down by 41% for the 6 months to the end of June. So higher operating costs, freight costs up 47%. Also the impact of a big Transnet payout last year that flattered last year's results. They've been hit, though, by more costs and the stronger rand also having a bit of an impact. Energy shares down again. Tungela down 5.6%. Sasol down 3.6%. Implats down 3.24%. And Glencore down 3.12%, while Exxaro is down at 2.88%. And then platinum and gold miners down as well. And Boxer actually down 1.76%. I think people concerned about the profit margin there. Not as good as they would like. In the US at the moment, we see kind of a bit of caution around AI stocks. Fitch saying that, the possibility of some kind of correction in AI stocks would be a major global credit risk. I mean, that's always cheerful. The Dow Jones is up 0.73. The Nasdaq is down 1.21, and the S&P 500 is down 0.25%. The gold price, $4,030.27 an ounce. Platinum, $1,602.57. Brent crude, $87.14. So holding steady. The rand to the dollar just hasn't recovered since the surprise interest rate hold last week. 16.75 to the euro, 19.05 to the British pound, 22.28. On the Money Show tonight, peanut butter. Where else on the radio are you going to get it? Stephen Crotus, EWN Business.
Okay, looking forward to that one. 28 minutes now to 5, and Bali Dlamini has the latest news for us.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, we begin with a story which contains some disturbing details this afternoon. A married couple from Paarl in the Western Cape has been handed 16 life sentences and an additional 12 years for the sexual exploitation of 2 14-year-old girls. The Paarl Regional Court had found the husband and wife guilty of rape, human trafficking and sexual grooming. The couple has been added to the National Register for Sex Offenders. Camray Clark has more.
The Paarl Regional Court heard how the 42-year-old wife lured the girls with promises of financial support and accommodation in exchange for sexual acts with her 51-year-old husband. The exploited 14-year-olds were vulnerable and from troubled backgrounds. Their sexual groomers had also supplied them with alcohol before subjecting them to repeated abuse. In another matter related to sexual violence, the National Prosecuting Authority will oppose an appeal against life sentences handed to a man convicted of raping and murdering an 8-year-old child. Arthur Wheeler was handed down 2 life sentences last week, along with a further 18 years for the separate sexual assault and rape of a woman in 2005. Camray Clark, Eyewitness News.
The fallout from the Public Investment Corporation's controversial Lanseria Airport valuation has deepened, with Parliament now being told that the Auditor General's own external auditor is the same individual named in the disputed transaction. This development adds another layer to the ongoing scrutiny of the PIC, where the Lanseria valuation has already triggered forensic investigations, legal battles and governance concerns. Annelita Fandese has more.
Gary Katsonis, a partner at audit firm Crow, was named in adverse findings relating to the valuation of Lanseria Airport, which allegedly inflated the value of the asset by around 400%. The valuation forms part of the broader controversy surrounding the PIC's investment in the airport and has been central to recent governance disputes at the state asset manager. The Auditor General says it has disclosed the matter to Parliament's Standing Committee on the Auditor General and has implemented additional quality control measures to manage any potential conflict of interest. The matter also comes as suspended PIC Chief Executive Patrick Dlamini challenges his suspension in court, with the Lanseria deal remaining at the center of several investigations. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
And in India, Transport Minister Ntini Gadkari is suing Meta and other tech giants over what he described as defamatory social media posts. Gadkari is seeking $1.14 million in damages over posts linking him to the country's ethanol blending fuel program. It comes as government pushes ahead with its E20 biofuel strategy aimed at reducing its dependence on imported oil and lowering emissions. E20 petrol, a fuel containing 20% ethanol, has come under scrutiny after viral social media posts allege that it harms engines and raises maintenance costs. Gadkari says content circulated online has falsely portrayed him as being personally responsible for the E20 policy. A partly cloudy Wednesday with isolated showers expected in Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 3 and 7 degrees and highs of between 17 and 20.
Edenvale travelling into Bedford-View, bumper-to-bumper traffic, R24 westbound between Macro Store and the Gilulis interchange, while in Protea Lane you can still expect about a 20-minute delay. N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R558. Claremont, Pretoria, traffic pressure on Bremer Street between the Dustport Tunnel and the R80.
The top story in EWN, a married couple from Paarl has been handed 16 life sentences and an additional 12 years for the sexual exploitation of two 14-year-old girls.
Smart business moves mean more cash flow. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Dr. Fahim from Matrix Dental.
We were with our previous insurers for many years prior to the switch. We found that Outsurance really understood our business needs. We are happy with our premiums. I wish we had switched sooner.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0600 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Mama Million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. Did you know the total number of Powerball winners in June are 4,001,000? Listen carefully. 4,152,822, and the total prize money won is over 530 million rand. So play Powerball and catch live draws on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakai.
Find your next design obsession at Decorex Joburg. From the 30th of July to the 2nd of August, the Sandton Convention Centre becomes the destination for the latest in decor and design. Explore over 450 exhibitors across 5 levels, inspiring talks and live demos, plus the property show by Private Property. Download the Decorex app and plan your visit today. Decorex Joburg, 30th July to 2nd August. Tickets at decorex.co.za and at the door.
The Dis-Chem Foundation's Million Comforts initiative began with a simple but powerful idea that no girl should miss school because she can't afford sanitary products. This initiative has helped countless girls stay in class with dignity, confidence and hope, and now it's changing the conversation for boys too. Too many young boys still grow up believing they have to hide their emotions, face life's challenges alone, and that asking for help is a sign of weakness. And that precisely is what the Dis-Chem Foundation is working to change through Million Comforts. Tomorrow on 702 Drive, we'll talk about how they're supporting the boy child through mentorship, life skills, and mental health awareness. Because when every young person feels seen, heard, and supported, we build stronger communities. And remember this as well. Every swipe of your Dis-Chem Better Rewards card helps make initiatives like Million Comforts possible. The Dis-Chem Foundation, caring for the community. I'll say it again. Every swipe counts.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. So, while I know that it's the norm in other religions, besides Islam, for our children to be exposed to alcohol, unfortunately, being a community worker and being involved with drug rehabilitation, alcoholism, there's always that 10% that cannot handle alcohol. That yes, you might introduce it as a test to sort of say, here's the alcohol open, there's nothing mysterious about it. Medically or psychologically, that 10% gets hooked on alcohol and they become alcoholics, and it just damages, like the lady said, it does affect the brain. I mean, then it becomes out of hand, out of control, because it becomes a disease to some of them. So it has its pros and its cons, John.
Dumela Ntate John and the team. Hey, I hope one day we'll have a show where all these ministers or ministers that are actually doing what they need to do can come and tell us about their achievements. Because all these ministers, and it doesn't matter what department, these guys are failing and they're failing us. The one that is trying a little bit is the electricity one. Maybe he should show them or guide them on how things should be done. We can't have everything and every department failing. It's sad and it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, honestly. Lebo Krugerstone.
Yeah, thank you. And, we do always invite the ministers to come on when we're engaging in issues of controversy in their departments. And as I shared with you, the Minister of Higher Education's team saying the matter is still in process. Once the process is complete, they will come on. It's 19 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, still lots of discussion and debate about Banyana's opening game at WAFCON.
Absolutely. John, and Desiree Ellis admits that they were too slow in their build-up as she tried to explain what happened in their 2-1 defeat to Tanzania. That's in their WAFCON Group B opener. It was a second consecutive tournament edition that South Africa failed to beat Tigwa Stars, who secured a first-ever competition win.
The game was slow. When we were in transition, instead of going forward, we went backwards. And in that way, they reorganized themselves. The way we conceded, I think we could have defended better on both occasions. But the chances we created, we should have at least have gotten a lot more shots on target, but also the shots on target. Either side of the goalkeeper, it's in the back of the net. So, we were a bit wasteful in front of goal.
Zinedine Zidane has been appointed France head coach, and his first competitive fixture in charge will be a Nations League trip to Turkey on the 25th of September. He succeeds Didier Deschamps, who was Les Bleus' longest-serving manager, having spent 14 years in charge. For Italy, they've handed the reins to Roberto Mancini for a second time, as he's tasked with revitalizing the Azzurri, who missed out on the last 3 World Cups. The news comes after Paolo Maldini left his role as technical director. That follows the decision not to appoint Andrea Pirlo. He and advisor Leonardo quit just 16 days after the Italian Federation made the official announcement of their appointment. Over to the PSL, where Lebohile Mofokeng was the big winner at last night's annual awards, as he was named Footballer, Players Player and Young Player of the season. The 21-year-old beat former Orlando Pirates teammate Oswin Apollos as well as Mamelodi Sundowns midfielder Teboho Mokoena to the most prestigious individual awards of the night. With the Betway Premiership set to kick off on Saturday, his former coach Adeslam Madu has discussed how the defending champions will approach the upcoming campaign without the services of the influential forward.
Relay was an important player for the club. If you can just see the data, his involvement in our chance creation, it was huge. But I believe it's important to find out the profile that maybe can take the lead. And we are not all the time speaking about individualities. It's important to speak about a collective. It's what we tried in Spain to work. Many combinations, a lot of different profile in the middle, trying to see. I think we can have a good answer this weekend.
And Novak Djokovic will team up with Irina Sabalenka for the US Open mixed doubles, while Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz have not entered the competition. The revamped competition takes place over 2 days and before the singles draw. That's in order to encourage top players to enter. Italian doubles specialists Sara Irina and Andrea Vavasora will defend their title that they won last year, which came with a $1 million winner's check. Tolakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes to 5. Let's just catch up with the very latest from what's happening on the roads. Edenvale, Karabo Charlie, what you got there?
Yeah, that's heading into Bedford View, leaving Edenvale. There's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R24 westbound from Macro Store to the Gilulis interchange, while in Kempton Park, expect some delays on Morafontein Road between Laurie and Parkland. In Protea Glen, Soweto, there's still that 20-minute delay on the N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R558. In Protea Glen, traffic sluggish on the R559. That's Main Road opposite GOG Gardens. In the Joburg CBD, heading towards Boyson's, peak hour traffic on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange, while in Bryanston, traffic heavily backed up on the N1 southbound from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. Leaving Sandton, heading towards the M1, traffic congested on Catherine Street between West Street and Grayston. And finally, in Claremont, west of Pretoria, there's traffic pressure on Bremer Street between the Dustport Tunnel and the R80. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Clever excuses for being late, number 92. I had to rescue my cousin's neighbor's cat from a tree. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer in the FSP.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
702 Drive. I don't know if any of you have had to do shopping today or planning to shop tonight in places where there are supermarkets open. Maybe you had more shopping than you can deal with, as I must say I did over the weekend. But we were chatting a little bit earlier about things that people do while you're waiting in a supermarket queue. I mean, a supermarket, I use that term loosely. It could be anywhere where there's a substantial queue. What is the thing that people do in the queue that irritates you the most? I don't particularly like having my legs repeatedly tapped by the trolley behind me. But it's fine. I mean, you know, I've never suffered severe injury. I know it's going to happen, so I can chill into it. But things in a supermarket queue that you do not like, Rifue Litsua, you're not in the queue now, but I'm sure you have memories.
Ooh-wee. Good afternoon, John, and to the rest of the 702 family. I hate a couple of things, John. I do not want to hear you breathe behind me. You know, there are people that are so close to you, you can actually feel they're breathing on your neck, or you can hear it, or they're chewing loudly. Right? Please don't do that. I mean, I feel like, you know, social distancing, I still practice social distancing. And another one is when, let's say they're next in the queue and then they forgot, let's say, whatever product. Oh, no, Sissy, I'm coming back. Can I just quickly go? And then they take forever. And then we are waiting patiently, John, and we can't really move because...
No, but surely you don't wait. You don't... I mean, if you're next, you must go... So then all the people behind the person...
we all wait.
And you who want to...
we all wait.
Maybe they've already started ringing up
some of
the items. So
they have.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, that's... The one way to make sure that the person who is behind you is not going to breathe on your neck is to always be in front of someone who has a trolley. It does mean your legs will be tapped, but they're too far away to be able to chew in your ear.
Why don't I just start sneezing for fun? Achoo! Sorry.
Order online.
I could do that.
How about you, Tolakele? I mean, is there anything that happens in supermarket queues that brings out the most irritable part of your normally calm self?
I don't like it when people are shopping as a group, whether it's 2 or 3 people, and then they're all just like standing in the same line and they're closing the aisle where the rest of us are supposed to go.
Yes.
And then when you're at the till and then a parent, because my mom used to do this all the time to me when I was a kid, when the parent leaves the child to be the one that stands in the line and they're all over the supermarket and people are like, can I go in next? I'm always going to say yes when I was the kid because I'm like, I don't know where my mom is, but I'm just in this line to pass the time.
Yeah, but at least they asked. It shows how nice most people are. Karabo Charlie, you're in the line. What's annoying you?
Yeah, a few things, John. First of all, when you're in the line and then somebody comes and joins the line at the back of you and says, can you please save a spot for me? I'm just going to go get something. But then they take forever and they do their own groceries and other people come and take her space. And then when they come back, when that person comes back, you have to explain to that person, say, oh, no, this person was here. It's okay. I just don't like that. The other one is when a person comes with a full trolley, and then you can see the cashier is ringing, and he's just staring at the cashier. And then at the end, when he's about to pay, that's when he's going to open his wallet and look for which card to pay with, or open his phone and check which pay app he can use. And I'm like, dude, you could have done that like long time ago while they were ringing up. That annoys me.
So also, I found another one, John.
Yes.
When people don't bring the appropriate savings card, why must I wait for you to speak to the cashier and be like, please wait for that lady so she can pass me the card? No, when you walked into the store, you knew what store it was. Find your card and get the payments there and get it sorted.
Be prepared when you shop, especially if my colleagues are in front of you or anywhere near you in the queue, or even worse, if they're behind you. They do not like being made to. So it's like a relay race. You know, you don't get the baton standing still. So while they're ringing up, you're starting to go through your wallet. What annoys you in a supermarket queue, apart from the fact of being in a supermarket queue? Give us a ring on that. 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. 9 minutes now to 5.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's focus on something that I think is of real interest that did come up today at the trial of Vusimuzi Matlala, Musa Kekana, and 3 others. As you, I'm sure by now know, they face 25 charges: attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering amongst them. One of the issues that came up in the questioning of a member of the tactical response team, Captain Pimi Sikhobela, was questions of whether they had a warrant to search Musa Kekana's home, and the argument offered as a counter by Captain Sikhobela that there are certain circumstances and the law allows him to actually do a search without having a warrant. So how does all of this work? And it might be an issue that arises for you. You might find yourself in a roadblock, for example. Police want to search your car. Let's get an inside track on this and welcome to the show Ulrich Roo, who's founding and managing director of Ulrich Roo and Associates. Mr. Roo, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Before we bring it, into the perhaps more everyday of some of the experiences our listeners might have had in regard to the specific matter arriving at the Matlala and 4 others trial, is it quite common for police to say, look, we didn't have a warrant, but we had reasonable grounds to believe evidence might be destroyed, crimes could be in progress, and so on, and therefore we felt entitled to act? Does the court normally accept that?
Hi, good afternoon, John. Thank you for having me. Yes, so the test of whether police can enter premises without a search warrant is exactly as the witness testified today. If they have a reasonable suspicion that they will find incriminating evidence on the premises, and there is also a reasonable suspicion that that evidence will be destroyed should they not be granted access. In addition with, they must satisfy the court that a search warrant would have been granted and issued to them had they applied for it. In other words, had they had the time to do it, then a court or a magistrate would have granted that warrant. So that is the test, and yes, we see it quite often in court cases on a daily basis, that police enter premises on that reasonable suspicion that they secure incriminating evidence, which is then later used during a trial, and that evidence is then accepted by a court on condition that the witness can prove to the court that they had the reasonable suspicion that it would have been destroyed if they weren't granted access, and that they would have been granted a warrant had they had the time to apply for it. So yes, it's quite common in court cases on a daily basis.
So once defense counsel has raised their concerns about this and the magistrate or judge has ruled that's pretty much it. If they say you had reasonable grounds, Captain Sikhobela, to go in, you can't then dispute the admissibility of anything they might have discovered, or is it not a blanket and clear go ahead as that?
No, it's not. It's dependent on the actual evidence that is obtained. What we see a lot of the time is that an application is brought to have a search warrant set aside. Now, that application can be brought either during the trial or prior to the trial in an interlocutory application. So if the defense feels that the search warrant or the search of the premises was unlawful and they have sufficient grounds to prove that it was unlawful, and that a court would not have granted the search warrant upon the application thereof, then you could very well see that that search warrant is set aside either before the trial or during the trial. Again, it is quite common that we see that happening in court cases.
So let's take this away from trials capturing national attention and bring it perhaps to the more everyday experience that I'm sure many of our listeners have had or might have in the future. There could be a roadblock, for example, and police say they want to search your car. What does the law say about that? Just hoping we still
of a
yes.
Of a roadblock.
Sorry, we lost you for a second there. I wonder if you wouldn't mind starting the answer from the top. Please go ahead.
Yes, so in the instance of a roadblock, if the police who are conducting the roadblock have a reasonable suspicion that you have unlawful material in your car, and they set out the grounds for that, then there's very little that you can do to prevent them from searching your vehicle. The obvious answer is that, if you don't have anything incriminating in your vehicle, then you wouldn't mind them searching your vehicle. It does get a bit technical, so remember that the purpose of a search of a vehicle or premises is to gather evidence that can later be used during a trial.
Yes.
So what we see a lot of the time happen is that they do then conduct a search, they secure evidence, and that at a later stage, a ruling is either made whether that is admissible or inadmissible. But during a roadblock, when the police have a reasonable suspicion and they are within their rights to do it.
And could a reasonable suspicion be? I mean, I'm in a roadblock. I'm driving a white Corolla for the sake of argument. They could say, listen, there was a robbery, and they'll mention a neighborhood 4 kilometers away, and a white Corolla was seen in the area. I mean, can it be as vague as that? It could even be by way of a pretext, I would assume.
Yes, so, I mean, again, that would amount to reasonable suspicion or reasonable grounds as well. So,
yes.
In other words, if something very valuable has been stolen in a house robbery and the police have a suspicion that it is contained in the boot of a vehicle that's in the area, then that would form sufficient grounds for them to search the boots of all the vehicles in that area that they pull over. So, again, there's very little that a citizen can do to prevent that from happening, on condition that
Yes.
there is a reasonable grounds by the police and or a reasonable suspicion. Again, that evidence will be tested during trial when the evidence is actually presented in a court and in front of a presiding officer.
Thank you so much, Ulrich Roux, founder and managing director of Ulrich Roux and Associates. Maybe you've actually been in a situation like that where police have wanted to either search your premises, search your vehicle, or perhaps search your person. How did you deal with it? What explanation did they offer? Please, by all means, add a layer from your experience to the conversation we're having. We're talking about it because it came up in this very high-profile court case, and I'm sure it's going to come up again. 702 Drive.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
At what point would a business owner say it's now time to get certain type of insurances and cover?
The big thing I would say is, as a business starts realizing that you now need to design a leave form, right?
Yes.
So people need to apply for leave. That means you're now of a meaningful size. And then you should probably start to re-look at your risks and the things that you have that should be insured. I've got sympathy with business owners. We spoke just about you and your passion.
Yeah.
These people are passionate about their business and they don't think about their risks often. And that's why it's so important for them to now listen and heed a bit of advice and see if they can't manage their risks a little bit better.
Rudolph Brits, Chief Actuary at Momentum Insurance.
702 Afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Dad, how come Mom's not coming to my soccer game?
Well, Mom isn't allowed to come to your soccer games anymore.
Is it because she tried to tackle Coach KB for giving me a red card?
Maybe.
Humans who fiercely protect the people they love. Welcome. Search Liberty Protect to protect your life and legacy today. Liberty, in it with you, all of you. Liberty Group Limited, a licensed life insurer, an authorized FSP and part of the Standard Bank Group. T's and C's, risks and limitations apply.
Today, standing out in the job market is more important than ever. Postnet and Huru are here to help you succeed. Did you know that many organizations require a criminal record check before hiring? From educators to retailers, drivers to lawyers and more, Postnet has you covered. From just 335 Rand, add a Huru criminal record check to your CV and stand out from the crowd. Visit your nearest Postnet today. Postnet, helping you succeed.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic's early spring season features world-class international conductors and soloists performing with our finest musicians. The program includes favorites by Tchaikovsky, Mozart and more. Thursday evenings at the Linda Auditorium from 13 August to 3 September at 7:30 p.m. Tickets available at Quicket.
This is EWN.
EFF approaches ConCourt to appeal Ramaphosa impeachment decision and Treasury to release frozen municipal funding this week. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The EFF is approaching the Constitutional Court to appeal a High Court interdict which stopped impeachment proceedings against President Cyril Ramaphosa. The party joins the African Transformation Movement, which has also approached the Apex Court to appeal Friday's ruling by the Western Cape High Court, granting Ramaphosa's application to interdict the inquiry. The parties have challenged the High Court for blocking the inquiry from proceeding, pending Ramaphosa's review application of the independent panel report that led to this inquiry. Babalondenze reports.
The Western Cape High Court ruling is facing another challenge as parties continue their legal fight to have the impeachment inquiry against President Ramaphosa continue. The EFF's direct approach to the ConCourt comes a few days after the ATM's Vuyo Zungula approached the same court to seek clarity and appeal the earlier interim interdict. The ATM said the interim interdict is appealable because the Constitutional Court granted an appeal of an interdict regarding the Gauteng e-tolls back in 2012. The EFF has confirmed to EWN that it is appealing the High Court interdict just a day before the Section 89 Committee's scheduled meeting tomorrow. The MK party has not yet indicated whether it will also appeal, but the party says it is receiving legal advice on the ruling. Babalo Ndanze, Eyewitness News.
The relationship between the Investigative Directorate Against Corruption and controversial Member of Parliament Fadil Adams has come under the spotlight at the Madlanga Commission. It's emerged that in May last year, IDAC officials sent a summons to the SAPS's Political Killings Task Team demanding the names and records of the police officers that arrested the politician from the National Coloured Congress Party. Former head of IDAC, Andrea Johnson, has told the Madlanga Commission today that the summons was sent without her knowledge. Tabiso Koba reports.
National Coloured Congress Member of Parliament Fadil Adams is the one who laid the complaints which kick-started IDAC's investigation into senior crime intelligence officers. In May this year, members of the SAP's Political Killings Task Team travelled from Durban to Cape Town to arrest Adams on charges of fraud and defeating the ends of justice. A document before the Madlanga Commission shows a few days after Adams' arrest, IDAC officials sent summons to SAPS requesting the names of the PKTT members who effected the arrest, the cost of the trip, their travel documents and other related documents. Andrea Johnson, who was head of IDAC at the time, says she wasn't aware of this.
I cannot see the relevance of why we would ask who travelled. A different conversation, Chair, might have been if one wrote to the National Commissioner indicating this is a witness, we would like to know what charges he faces, something like that, a very generalized, because we want them to know he's our witness, they have taken him. But other than that, I can't legitimate this because I don't know why this happened.
The summons were signed by IDEC Deputy Head Santos Manilal and Senior IDEC Investigator Brian Padeachi. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana says the decision to release previously frozen municipal funding is aimed at protecting residents from disruptions to basic services. Earlier today, National Treasury confirmed it will release the remaining 7.1 billion rand in equitable share funding later this week. The money forms part of the July equitable share allocation that was initially withheld from 69 municipalities over serious financial failures. Godongwana says the money will be released even though many municipalities remain in breach of financial management laws.
The equitable share is an important source of funding for the basic services, particularly service provided for poor households. National Treasury must therefore balance its constitutional responsibility to enforce financial management requirements with the need to avoid communities carrying the immediate consequences of failure by municipality.
Lawyers for former Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula have pointed out inconsistencies in the version given by the main complainant in her corruption case. Defence Force contractor Nombasantsho Ndwandlovu is the second witness testifying against Mapisa-Nqakula. She claims the former minister solicited 4.5 million rand between 2016 and 2019 and she ultimately paid her 2.1 million rand in bribes. John Ndwandlovu is the sole director of Umkhombe Marine, a company that has received tenders from the Defence Department since 2013. Khomotso Modise reports from the Pretoria High Court.
Deputy Defence Minister Bantu Olumisa is the main complainant in this case, as Nombasantsho Ndwandlovu confided in him about the alleged payments she had been making to former Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula. One of the apparent inconsistencies pointed out by Mapisa-Nqakula's lawyer, Siyabulela Mapoma, is that in his letter to Parliament, Olumisa mentioned a 200,000 rand bribe, but that was not mentioned by Ndwandlovu during her testimony. He says one of them must be lying. Advocate Mapoma has also pointed out that Ndwandlovu testified about Mapisa-Nqakula allegedly soliciting a 2 million rand bribe to secure a promotion for her husband, a senior military doctor, Noel Ndlovu. He's asked why she did not tell Olumisa about this, but she says she did not think he needed to know this. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News at the Pretoria High Court.
Gold is trading at $4,033.89 an ounce. The rand is at 16.75 to the dollar, 22.27 to the pound, 19.03 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $84.98 a barrel.
City of Tshwane, traffic pressure in Claremont on Bremer Street between the Dustport Tunnel and the R80, while in Queenswood. Still in Pretoria, expect some delays on Gordon Road between Stanza Bopape and Nico Smith. And in Edenville, travelling towards Bedford View, bumper-to-bumper traffic, R24 westbound between Macro Store and the Kilulis interchange.
In your sports, Desiree Ellis says Banyana's WAFCON group game against Ivory Coast is now a final. Danica Fenka breaks her second African record at the Commonwealth Games. And Justin Greaves sets a new bowling record with 5-wicket maiden.
A partly cloudy Wednesday with isolated showers expected for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 5 degrees, peaking at 17. Pretoria 7 and 20 and Vereeniging 3 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The EFF is approaching the Constitutional Court to appeal a High Court interdict which stopped impeachment proceedings against the president.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's good to have you with us on the show. It is 8 minutes past 5 on this Tuesday. Hope you've had a decent day. Hope your week is going well. We're going to be talking about Treasury and the fact that in regard to 69 municipalities a little while back, they decided to withhold certain tranches of money that were meant to come from National Treasury. They held a press conference today and said that by the end of July, that money that had been held back will now be paid out. Did they blink too soon? And have they accepted assurances from municipalities that have probably offered assurances before that they will fix things up, run things better, look after public money properly, even if they haven't always shown the best track record in that regard in the past? We'll put that question and some more besides to my guest, Ukhala Letsinga, who is a Deputy Director General at Treasury, responsible for intergovernmental relations. Very important conversation, very interesting one that's coming up in about 5 minutes' time. Later in the show, we'll play you some music, but most importantly, you'll play us some music. Well, you'll send us your suggestions. We'll dig out those songs and we'll make your musical choices part of a thread that I'll tell you about in just a moment. A lot of you are commenting on the question we asked you a little bit earlier. What is it in those supermarket queues that really makes you mad? Apart from just being in the queue, that is. Let's hear a few of your thoughts. They come to us on 072 702 1702.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
John and the team. Well, for me, at malls, if there's one thing I don't like, it's children who cry and then spill things, break things, and the parent does nothing. Like, I wish I could take over, like, can you borrow me your child and discipline your child? I'm not saying beat your child, but then do something about the situation.
Hi, John and listeners. For me, what irritates me is when you look for the shortest queue to go and pay. You in the queue to pay. And there's someone with one item in front of you, only to find that in the queue next to you, the mom or dad is with a huge trolley and they're trying to see which queue goes quicker. So if your queue goes quicker, they come with a big trolley in front of you. So never mind that you chose the queue because it was the shortest. Annoying.
John, what irritates me is your product, you are in front of me, your product has been being scanned. And then you go back to the shelf. You go back to the shelf to add more stuff and come back again in front of me. Oh, I just feel like kicking. Oh my word.
Hi, Dr. John and your team. Yeah, your colleagues. Tough crowd, hey? I think especially because I am guilty of a few of those annoyances that they mentioned, I will ask you to hold a spot whilst I quickly go grab something in the aisles. I will take out my payment only when I'm done ringing up the items, because you know what? When I go to the supermarket, the only thing is I am focused on the prices. I know the price of every single item so that I am alert when things are being rang up. So don't tell me I now have to prepare payment. No, let me first make sure the payment is correct. Then I will take out my payment card. Then I will take out my smart shopper or whatever needs to be taken out. So calm down, guys. Chillax.
Yeah, and you know, if you are worried about being in a queue with any of my colleagues, please watch us on YouTube, because then you can know what they like. Get a screenshot, and if you see Karabo Tolakele in the queue, maybe pick a different line and just hope that somebody doesn't come in front of you with a very full trolley. YouTube, you get us, 702 Drive Live. John Perlman, type in those words on the YouTube platform and you will get us live and in full color, even if the colors are a little muted on some days. Brenda says, I hate it when people ask to use my loyalty card and then pass rude remarks when I refuse. Uncle Stim says, when a customer reaches the till and leaves some items behind because they don't have enough cash. I must say, I always feel very sorry for people who are in that situation. I have a measure of sympathy. I'm trying to be calmer, actually, in supermarket queues myself. 13 minutes past 5.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, so I said we were going to play some music, and the theme we've picked for today is when someone breaks up with you, what is the best song to send them? Now, it could depend on your mood. You might be heartbroken, in which you want to send them a song telling them how heartbroken you are. You may be madder than a snake. You may be deeply resentful about the circumstances, or you may be thinking, Well, I'm actually quite pleased they broke up with me because I'm feeling pretty liberated now that I'm not in a relationship that, with hindsight, probably wasn't the best for me. So we're not going to tell you how you should feel. Just tell us the song, and that'll tell us how you feel. And I look forward to those on 072 702 1702. We'll get into that at about 20 minutes to 6. Right now it's 14 past 5. Yeah, Kelly Clarkson doesn't seem to mind a bit. Since you've been gone, now I can breathe, or some sentiment similar. That's one way of telling him. It's 5:15.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Claremont, busy, Karabochali.
Yeah, that's west of Pretoria. Traffic pressure on Bremer Street between the Dustpot Tunnel and the R80. Ekurhuleni, bumper-to-bumper traffic heading into Bedfordview. That's in Edenvale. R24 westbound between Macro Store and the Gilulis interchange. Kempton Park, you can still expect some delays on Modderfontein Road between Laurie and Parkland Drive. While in Protea Glen, Soweto, you can still expect about a 20-minute delay. N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R558. Still in Protea Glen, traffic remains sluggish on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens, and driving through the Joburg CBD, peak hour traffic on the M1 southbound from Killarney Bend to the Crown interchange. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Here's the thing about insurance. You only find out how good it is when it's time to claim. With Outsurance, you've got that peace of mind. The Ombudsman, an independent body that rules on complaints, confirmed in their 2025 annual report that Outsurance had the lowest overturned ratio of complaints. Isn't it time you switch to the insurer where you always get something out? Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Do it today. Licensed insurer and FSP, TCs and information online.
It's always the same with you. I want this, I need that, and somehow I am always the one paying for it. I think we need a little time apart. Not forever, just long enough for me to build some interest again. After all, distance makes the funds grow stronger.
Give your money time this July savings month. Open a Nedbank 32-day notice account on the Money app and earn up to 7.55% interest with 0 monthly fees. Go to nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank, we're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Mama Million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. Did you know the total number of Powerball winners in June are 4,001,000? Listen carefully. 4,152,822, and the total prize money won is over 530 million rand. So play Powerball and catch live draws on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakai.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Belgotex. Their CEO, Evan Lockhart Barker, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. And join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Do you ever get that wake up, dress up, show up kind of energy? Well, it's final voter registration weekend. On the 1st and 2nd of August from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., registration stations open across South Africa. So show up and register to vote in the upcoming local government elections. Call 0800 11 8000, visit elections.org.za or WhatsApp 0600 8800 for more info. This message is brought to you by the IEC.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
19 past 5. Well, a big story earlier this month, or in fact it might have been at the end of last month, was a decision by National Treasury that money that they were going to be giving to local municipalities, I think there were 69 of them all in all that had their funding withheld, was not going to be paid across because they were non-compliant in various ways that would have indicated that they were on the right track to in some way instill fiscal discipline. Today, a joint media briefing held involving Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana, but also Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Velenkosini Hlabisa. And they made the announcement that by the end of July, which is in a couple of days' time, Friday I think it is, they would be handing over the rest of the money that was owed, but warned that continued non-compliance would be met with continued action from Treasury. So let's review what's been achieved and let's take a look at what might happen next. And welcome to 702 Drive, Ukhala Letsing Kharikwe, who is joining us from Treasury, where she is Deputy Director General responsible for intergovernmental relations. Ms. Kharikwe, welcome and thanks very much for giving us your time. How did you decide which municipalities should now get their full tranche? And I don't know if any are still going to be kept on terms and may not get the full amount, but give us a sense of your thinking as you made decisions. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and thank you for having me. So as you rightly said, we withheld the money for 69 municipalities. And I think since that time, every week on a Thursday, we've been releasing some money. So to date, we have released, for example, for 20 municipalities of the 69 have received full allocation due to them because they've met the conditions. And some of them are just to, for example, promise that they will in future commit, not just promise, commit that the future administrations that they'll always table a funded budget. Some of them was to have a payment agreement with pension funds that they owed money of the workers.
Right.
Yes, and others, ESCOM and water boards and so on. So they were to have a payment agreement, come in with it, and then once you come with a payment agreement, we'll give you a portion to go pay what you have agreed with this particular creditor. And then once you come back, you show that you have met all the conditions to get your full amount. So 20 of that got a full amount.
Yes.
And 21 of the 69 received partial release of their funding.
Yeah.
So remember, this process is a legislated process, and it does have role players like Parliament. So the Constitution requires that within 30 days, Parliament must either approve for National Treasury to continue with the withholding. So we're released.
No, please finish the thought, and then I'll come in with my next question.
Okay, so we're releasing for essentially the 21 that have received partial, as well as the 28 that did not receive anything. So we're releasing essentially for 49, but 21 they've received something before. 28 they never received anything. So we're releasing because legislatively we need to release if we have not received at that particular time approval to say you can continue for up to 120 days.
So can I come in and just ask you this? I mean, it seems to me from what you're saying, Ms. Kharikwe, that it's a mix. On the one hand, there are commitments that people make and they say, we promise to do this thing better than we've done it before. So you've got that on the one hand. Then you've got something that is actually verifiable, which would be presumably proof of payment, saying that you've put money into a pension fund or settled part of a debt, for example, to ESCOM. They seem to me to be very different. The one is measurable. The other is nice to hear, but I would think that history and past performances told us that those promises may be meaningless.
Yes, they might be meaningless. We agree, but remember now what has been, because in terms of the unfunded budget, we're relating to the adjustment budget that they tabled in February that was unfunded. So that is coming. It's not like it's a once-off event that passed there and you can just promise. And recall that they had now tabled the main budget that they are implementing now from 1 July, and we're assessing right now as we speak together with the provincial treasuries in terms of the budgets that municipalities are implementing now. Obviously, they're funded or they're unfunded. So there are other opportunities to withhold the money, like in December and in March again, because they get 3 tranches in a year. So it's not like you would promise and just say, I can continue with my life. We'll be monitoring.
Yeah. I mean, as you do the monitoring and with your vast experience of you and your team as Garikwe, I mean, how much of the problem is due to incompetence, people who are in positions running municipalities when they don't really have the requisite skills? And how much of it is due to the fact that problems have piled up to such a height that even with the best intentions and a fair amount of skill, people can't get out from underneath them, that the problems are everywhere. The water pipes are leaking, money's owed to Eskom, workers are threatening to go on strike. I'm sure I'm telling you things that you already know, but how much of it is actually saying, you know what, John is not capable, you need to replace him, and how much of it is saying, wow, I'm not sure they're ever going to be able to solve this?
So remember, in from the 257 municipalities, we do have like rural municipalities, then we've got urban, semi-urban, and all of that. So what we have realized is that it's not a matter of, because people would argue maybe rural municipality doesn't have capacity, therefore, like you rightly say, they're bound to have these problems. But we have a list of municipalities that were not part of the 69 that are in the same categories of the ones that were withheld for. So therefore, of the view that it's just a matter of people doing the right things that are required to do by law, and we don't think it's something that is insurmountable, what they need to do. It can be done by a small municipality somewhere, let's say in Limpopo, in Eastern Cape. So there are a number of good stories, just that sometimes we don't have much time to talk about them. Small municipalities that are doing well with the little that they have. They don't have the revenue base, but yet they've made sure that with the little that we have, we pay all our creditors, we pay the pensions over, we make sure that we don't spend what we don't have, because some of it is just spending what you don't have. It's just a bad behavior that people, you can change from that.
Thank you so much. Ukalalet Singh Garikwe joins us from National Treasury, where she is Deputy Director General responsible for intergovernmental relations. So, money was withheld. Money has been slowly paid back. By Friday, everyone will get the tranche that was withheld. And let's hope that the medicine, even if it had a bitter taste, is actually starting to do some healing. It's a very interesting story to track. And I'm curious to follow up what she said. There are small rural municipalities who run things very well. We'll see if we can get a couple of them on, find out why they're able to do what so many others are unable to do, including some highly well-funded metros. More on that in the shows to come.
Drivers, this winter, South Africa's roads can change in seconds. One moment it's clear, next, dense fog blinds your view. Don't drive on memory, drive on visibility. If you can't see clearly beyond 50 meters, pull over safely at the nearest truck stop. Stay alert, stay alive, check your surroundings and inform others. See and be seen. Let's navigate winter roads together. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
Thinking about studying but waiting for the right time with Richfield's online qualifications designed to fit around your life. The right time is now. But you better hurry because their mid-year applications close soon. Whether you're working, changing careers, or ready to level up, you can choose degrees and diplomas in business and IT, as well as a prestigious online MBA. Plus, you can study online from anywhere. Applications close soon, so apply today at richfield.ac.za. Richfield, your future enriched.
Uncertainty is rising, but your business still has to deliver. Production targets need to be met. And when your workforce is out of balance, the cost is immediate. Too many employees? Costs climb. Too few? Productivity drops. Workforce staffing helps businesses stay in control with flexible workforce solutions, deployed within 48 hours nationwide. When demand changes, your workforce can change with it. Visit workforcestaffing.co.za. Stay productive, stay flexible, stay in control.
When Joburg came together in the iconic CBD for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, unforgettable moments were made, and none of it would have been possible without our incredible partners.
My name is Loiso Masuku. I'm the Executive Deputy Mayor and a member of the Mayoral Committee for Finance in the city of Joburg. Prime Media 702, Josie My Josie, the businesses that partnered with us. All of you actually bring life into the city. It is important to have partnerships with civil society, partnerships that matter. And this is one of them. One thing I loved, the social cohesion. Nation building is what we're talking about. It was just a beautiful day.
Thank you to all our partners who showed that great things happen when Joburg comes together for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
EWN Business.
Interesting day in which oil prices seem to go down. The markets, well, what did they do? Let's find out. Here's Stephen Curtis.
Afternoon, John. Unfortunately, they followed oil prices. The JSE All Share down 0.19%, 109,904 points at the end of the day. Financials up 0.27, industrials up 0.69, resources down 1.88. Now look, gold and platinum are weaker. Brent crude is kind of roughly where it's been. It's better than it's been. Let's put it like this. I think the talk of the day, probably Canal Plus. They're up 9% on the day. Now, they said yesterday that they had a very good 6-month period. They've been able to increase their subscribers in Africa. And as a result, their share price up very, very strongly as a result of that. Greencoat GRP is up 4.37. Raynet's up nearly 4. Old Mutual's up 3.64. And AB InBev is up 3.5. Interesting, the Foschini Group up 3.5 as well. Energy stocks down though. Tungela down 5.4, Glencore down nearly 3, Sasol down nearly 3.2, Exara down 2.5%. And then platinum and gold miners down 2 on the day. News from Boxer, their turnover in the 20 weeks to the 19th of July growing by over 7%, like-for-like growth at 2.2%. Their internal selling prices dropped by 1.9%, so they had deflation. A lot of foods are in deflationary territory at the moment, rice, maize meal, things like that. But essentially they say that their turnover did not grow as quickly as it did in the same period last year. Kumba Iron Ore also confirming their guidance of last week, interim profits down by 41% for the 6 months to the end of June. They've been hit by higher costs. Freight costs are up 47%, a stronger rand as well, and that's had a big impact. Also, that payout from Transnet having an impact on the comparison with this year's. That payout was last year. And then the Nasdaq lowered today. So lots of concerns again about AI, John. And in fact, we see Fitch issuing a sort of warning saying, in their review, saying, look, we think that valuations may pose a risk, a credit risk to the economy. Too much money going into them, not enough money coming out of them. I suppose is something you could say quite sensibly about AI. The Dow Jones is up 0.76. The Nasdaq is down 0.7. The S&P 500 is down 0.06% on the day. The gold price, $4,028.45. Platinum, $1,608. Brent crude, $86.69. The rand to the dollar, 16.70 to the euro, 19.03 to the British pound, 22.22. On the Money Show tonight, John, I mean, outrage across the country at the fact that the International Trade Administration Commission has increased the tariffs on peanut butter. I mean, Karabo, who's sitting next to me, can't contain himself. He's so angry. Karabo?
Livid.
And Paul, furious? John, your view?
I'm weighing it up.
You're weighing it up?
Yeah.
It's peanut butter, John.
Okay.
Okay, anyway.
I'm not going to go nuts.
We'll We'll ask Ayabonga Kawe at ITAC, who put too much peanut butter in his samis. Also tonight, the CEO at Kumba Iron Ore. We'll also talk about what you've just been talking about with the National Treasury. We'll get a view from Mealani Khaleni on the decision by the Finance Minister to pay out that money to national councils, to councils around the country. I prefer crunchy peanut butter in case you're interested. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. We'll start a fund. Let's find out what's happening in the news with Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon to you.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Two parties have intervened to join Public Investment Corporation CEO Patrick Dlamini's urgent application challenging his suspension. The applicants argue they have an interest in the matter because they want to ensure the governance of the PIC, which manages public servants' pension funds, is properly scrutinized. Dlamini, who was placed on precautionary suspension earlier this month following a whistleblower complaint, is asking the court to declare his suspension unlawful. Annalita Fandese reports.
Patrick Dlamini's counsel argues neither applicant, Mr. Noche, and people of Joburg has a direct substantial legal interest in the dispute. Counsel adds that neither applicant has presented evidence relating to the merits of Dlamini's suspension. Dlamini's lawyers also argued that although the PIC board filed a notice of intention to oppose the application, it has not filed affidavits explaining or defending the suspension, meaning the challenge remains effectively unopposed on its merits. Meanwhile, the court is proceeding with Dlamini's challenge to have his suspension declared unlawful. Annalita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
The Department of Water and Sanitation says dam levels in the Western Cape continue to improve. The City of Cape Town's dams are just over 83%. Several catchment areas across the province are also showing improvement. Camray Clark has the details.
New data from the Water and Sanitation Department shows dam levels in the Western Cape have increased from 79.2% to 79.4%. Theawaterskloof Dam, the largest dam in Cape Town's water supply system, increased from 77 to 78%. Clan William Dam near Cedarburg is now 96% full. That's a 2% increase up from last week. Steenbras Upper Dam, Wimmershoek Dam near Paarl, and dams in the Gouritz and Olifantsdoorn catchments are all at or above 100%. In the Garden Route, the Akkerkloof Dam in Knysna has improved to 48% capacity after the town declared a state of disaster in January when levels dropped to 15%. Western Cape Provincial Head Ntombizanele Bila Mupariwa says the continued improvement in dam levels is encouraging for water security in the province, but residents are still encouraged to use water responsibly. Camray Clark, Eyewitness News.
And an Australian-based drug trafficker has been sentenced to life in prison. Kazem Hamed was deported from Australia to Iraq in 2023, where he was arrested in January this year in response to an official request from Australia. He is linked to transnational organised crime gangs involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, murder and kidnapping, amongst other crimes. Hamed's sentence includes the confiscation of his movable and immovable assets in accordance with the law. A partly cloudy Wednesday with isolated showers expected in Gauteng tomorrow. Lows of between 3 and 7 degrees and highs of between 17 and 20.
Leaving Boksburg, heading towards OR Tambo International Airport, there's an accident scene in Kempton Park on the R24 eastbound near the R21 merge, causing huge delays from Edenvale Road. Still in the Ekurhuleni, Edenvale, bumper-to-bumper traffic, this time heading into Bedfordview. That's the R24 westbound from Macro Store to the Kilulis interchange. And finally, Protea Glen, you can still expect about a 20-minute delay. N12 westbound between the R554 Abu Bakr Drive and the R558.
A top story in EWN. Two parties have intervened to join Public Investment Corporation CEO Patrick Dlamini's urgent application challenging his suspension.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Reports from Zimbabwe suggest some poultry farmers are allegedly feeding antiretroviral medicines to chickens. These are the ARVs that are meant for HIV treatment. This is in the belief that the drugs help the birds grow faster and survive disease. Dr. Bester, say it isn't true.
I wish I could. I believe these farmers are desperate. They hope it helps to keep their chickens healthy and their profits a bit more.
does it work?
No, it's a complete myth.
How likely could we see the development of some disease develop from all of this?
These survivor strains, they mutate, and that's what we now call superbugs. They will stay on the meat because they contaminate the meat often during the slaughtering process and basically find themselves to our kitchens and cause infections that basically cannot be cured anymore by normal medicine.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9
on 702.
Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis presents the School of AI, the first of its kind in Africa, powered by 100 world-class AI experts delivering cutting-edge training, consulting and real-world AI solutions. Regenesis has embedded compulsory AI modules across all their programs and 12 of their schools, from business and law to education and technology. Join the movement now. Enroll at regenesis.net. Regenesis, one institution leading the way.
Your boss noticed. Your ex noticed. The neighbors definitely noticed. Because some cars say, I rented a car. And some cars say, I rented the car. Sani Sixt Rent-A-Car. Premium rentals. For people who don't settle. Choose the right car. Rent Sani Sixt on sani.co.za.
Smart business decisions save money. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's JC from Blonde Hair Studio.
I was with my previous insurer for many years before switching over to Outsurance Business Insurance. I'm really happy with the premium I'm paying now, and switching was definitely one of the best decisions for my business.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0600 60,000. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John and the team. What annoys me, particularly in supermarkets, is when people get to the pay point or to the till point, and now they need to transfer money from one account to the other on their cell phone, their banking app, or anything, because it then holds up the line or the queue. Yeah, so that's my worst nightmare, where people want to transfer money. Maybe they've got insufficient funds on another. They want to transfer from an account with money. But I think before you go to the supermarket, you check if you've got enough money on that particular account to avoid holding up the queues. This is Papa from Tembisa.
Good afternoon, John and the listeners. The one thing that really irritates me while waiting on the supermarket line is the social distancing, like Tolagelo was saying. I don't understand why people want to, cuddle up next to you while you're standing in line. And on that note, I would like to really applaud the SARS for having this ticket system along with clicks as well. And so this system, I wish, could be copied by our major supermarket outlet, where you are issued with a ticket and you are free to then come and pay once it is your turn. Tandanani box.
Good afternoon, John. What irritates me in a supermarket, it's these people who go in, they buy, for example, a packet of potato chips, they open it before paying, they start munching on the potato chips, and then they go and pay for an empty packet. For me, that's stealing. I always tell my children that I want to open a supermarket one day just to deal with such people. Kabul, Pretoria.
Yeah, my understanding is they munch through the packet of chips, but then they put the bag down, they scan it, and the chips go on the bill. But I've never watched it too closely. And yeah, to say that you'd open your own supermarket so you can deal with people like that, maybe just say something like, hey, pay for those chips, my friend. That maybe would be quicker. Of course, there are other benefits to opening a supermarket. Thank you for those. 17 minutes to 6, sports time.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele Desiree Ellis looking ahead to the next game.
Absolutely, and she believes that clash against Ivory Coast will be like a final as Banyana go in search of a win that will keep alive their WAFCON title hopes. They opened their Group B campaign with a 2-1 loss to Tanzania, who secured their first ever victory in the competition. And a lot is on the line for South Africa going into their second pool game as the tournament semi-finalists secure qualification for next year's FIFA World Cup.
Another physical team from West Africa. Positives that you can take out of it, is creating many opportunities. That's a plus for us. In the second half, we were better on the ball, but we know how good we can be on the ball. And we have to be at our absolute best. And I think defensively, some screws that we can tighten there because the way we conceded. We could have done better in both situations. One from a transition, better in those situations. So that's what we need to do better.
Orlando Pirates head coach Abdeslam Wadou says he's happy and ready to go again as the Buccaneers look to defend their Betway Premiership title. His long-term future had come under scrutiny after he admitted to being fatigued on the last day of last season, having guided the Ghosts to their first championship triumph in 14 years. They'll kick off their 2026-27 season with a league clash against promoted Milford at the London Amstel Arena on Saturday.
It was just the feeling that they had at that moment. They had the time to rest, challenge the things that we have built with the players, the relationship with the players, the ambition to try again this season, maybe to go a little bit higher is a fantastic challenge. The values of the club, the values of the management, the values of the players, the professionalism of all the people who are working in Pirate.
At the Commonwealth Games, Danica Fenka broke her second African record as she touched the wall at 28.78 seconds in the women's 50-meter freestyle heats in the Paris swimming. In the men's 100-meter backstroke heats, Peter Gutsia won his in 54.12 seconds to progress to the semi-finals as the third fastest. While Team South Africa cruised to a 78-30 win over Northern Ireland in the netball to temporarily move top of their pool, but it's Thursday's match against England that will decide their semi-final fate. And switching to cricket, where West Indies all-rounder Justin Greaves has made Test history after he became the first bowler in the recorded era to take wickets in 5 consecutive maiden overs. He achieved the feat during the Test against Pakistan, where he returned figures of 5 for 27. That's on the third day to help swing the World Test Championship contest in the host's favour. Greaves surpasses the previous record of 4 consecutive wicket maidens that was set by Stuart Broad against South Africa in 2016. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, let's find out what's happening out on the roads at 14 minutes to 6. We're busy in quite a few parts of Gauteng. Karabochali will guide you through all the trouble spots.
Let me start in Ekurhuleni, John, where if you are leaving Germiston, Bedfordview, heading towards OR Tambo International Airport, avoid the R24 eastbound. There's an accident seen near the R21 merge. That's in the Kempton Park area. And this is causing heavy delays, actually huge delays, all the way from Edenvale Road. Still in Edenvale, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the R24 westbound from Edenvale Road to the Kilulis interchange, while in the south, Protea Glen, you can still expect about a 20-minute delay. N12 westbound from the R554 Abu Bakr Drive all the way to the R558. Traffic also sluggish in Protea Glen on the R559 main road opposite GOG Gardens. Four ways expect some delays on Winnie Mandela Drive between Witkoppen and Broad Acres Drive. In the Joburg CBD, there's still slow-moving traffic. M1 south from Killarney Bains to the Crown interchange. And in Pretoria, Claremont, traffic pressure on Bremer Street between the Dustport Tunnel and the RAT. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. John is on X
at John Perlman.
13 to 6, music time. We've been asking you, what is the best song to send to someone when they've just broken up with you? You may be sad, you may be defiant, you may actually be quite relieved. Your voice notes coming to 072 702 1702. Let's hear the first.
Hi, John. Sean from Springs. I'm loving your show today. Yeah, breakup song, She Hates Me by Puddle of Mud. That's hilarious. Anyway, have a great day. Talk to you later.
Hi, John. The most perfect song is by Shantae Savage called I Will Survive. Please play that song. It just hits the nail on the head. Thanks for a lovely show. Listening from London. Cheers. Bye.
got so much love to give. I'll survive. I'll survive.
I can't call that a cover, really, of Gloria Gaynor's classic. I mean, it's a complete reinterpretation. Song I don't know, that's the American R&B singer Shantae Savage. Came out 30 years ago in 1996. Okay, more of your breakup songs. Defiance, sadness, I don't know what's in the mix. We'll find out shortly.
Find your next design obsession at Decorex Joburg. From the 30th of July to the 2nd of August, the Sandton Convention Centre becomes the destination for the latest in decor and design. Explore over 450 exhibitors across 5 levels, inspiring talks and live demos, plus the property show by Private Property. Download the Decorex app and plan your visit today. Decorex Joburg, 30th July to 2nd August. Tickets at decorex.co.za and at the door.
Joburg is more than a city. It's a vibrant energy that connects us all. And that's why on Sunday, 26 July, you, ABSA, and thousands of others came together to rediscover and celebrate the iconic inner city in the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk. Jozi, ABSA sees you, Asambe. ABSA is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Terms and conditions apply.
Mama Million here, and yes, I am a millionaire. Did you know the total number of Powerball winners in June are 4,001,000? Listen carefully. 4,152,822, and the total prize money won is over 530 million rand. So play Powerball and catch live draws on Tuesdays and Fridays at 9 p.m. The National Lottery. More plays, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizakai.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Okay, so your best breakup songs. A song that you send to the person who has broken up with you. Let's go back to your voice notes, shall we?
A breakup song I can think about is by a chap named Iman. He did a song some time ago, says, I don't want you back. But be careful, don't play it on the radio. It curses a bit, but I'm sure there's a radio-friendly edit out there. Sandanani from Foslo.
Yeah, definitely the clean version. I Don't Want You Back. Amen. That song from 2003. Felicia sends us this from Piri and says, best breakup song to send to someone who broke your heart is Post Malone, Goodbye. And I must tell you, we've had a lot of requests for that song. We can't ignore you. Let's hear it.
Me and Kurt feel the same. Too much pleasure is pain. My girl spites me in vain. All I do is complain. She needs something to change. Need to take off the ass. So get all tonight. And don't tell me to shut up when you know you talk too much, but you don't got to say. I want you out of my head. I want you out of my bedroom tonight. There's no way I can save you, 'cause I need to be saved too. I'm no good at goodbyes. We're both acting insane, but too stubborn to change. Now I'm drinking again, 80 proof in my veins, and my fingertips stained. Looking over the ash, don't quit me tonight. Say you needed this hard, then you got it. Turns out that it wasn't what you wanted.
Post Malone with Young Thug. Yeah, good stuff. Called Goodbyes. So many of you have really thought about this. I mean, we've got way more voice notes and text messages than we can play. So let's get to it. Fit in as many as we can.
Hi, John. Andre Edenvale. We've broken up all through the years, and there are just so many songs. My favorite, naturally, is Manhattan's Let's Just Kiss and Say Goodbye. Then there, of course, is Boys to Men, End of the Road.
This has got to be the saddest day of my life. I called you here today for a bit of bad news. I won't be able to see you anymore because of my obligations and the ties that you have. We've been meeting here every day. And since this is our last day together, I want to hold you just one more time. When you turn and walk away, don't look back. I want to remember you just like this. Let's just kiss and say goodbye.
I had to meet you here today. There's just so many things to say. Please don't stop me till I'm through. This is something I hate to do. We've been meeting here so long. I guess what we done, oh, was wrong.
5 decades on, still a classic from the Manhattans. Lots of other suggestions. BM says, See You in My Nightmares by Kanye West. And then says, I Can't Make You Love Me by Will Downing or George Michael. Can't agree with you on the Will Downing or George Michael. The original of that by Bonnie Raitt is the one. But lovely suggestions. Thank you, BM. Take Your Love and Keep It by Steve Kakana and Nana Coyote is another real South African musical gem. Back to your voice notes.
I'm doing just fine. I'm getting along very well without you in my life. Go away. Well, I would, I don't know, but not to the person that I'm with now, but doing just fine. Boys to men, magahambe.
There was a time when I thought life was over and out. When you went away from me, my dying heart made it hard to breathe. We sit in my room because I didn't want to have to go out and see you walking by. One look and I'd break right down and cry. Now you say that you made
Two versions of Boys to Men. Thank you for both of those. The song suggestion and the rendition. Desmond goes for Whitney Houston and says, I bow out.
Tired of playing this game, and I won't play it no more, and I won't take it no more. Through with being your fool, and I won't do it no more, and I won't keep up this act, not for 1 minute. I'm gonna pull this curtain down. No, this time I won't play this.
Whitney Houston there. Yeah, we got to pick up BM's final suggestion. Here's Steve Kakana. Here's Nana Coyote. Take your love and keep it.
No more feeling I'm in despair. Come what may, I am prepared.
What a song. Thanks for all your suggestions. I'm John Perlman. Good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, turning intent into execution. That's how Absa are invested in Africa's energy future. Good evening. On Your Money Show tonight, Kumba Iron Ore takes a hit from higher operating costs. Freight costs shoot up by nearly 50%. Has the National Treasury just caved in to councils as it agrees to pay over their share of the equitable share? The Trade, Industry and Competition Ministry still won't explain why it won't make payments from the Film Incentive Scheme. The International Trade Administration Commission adds more crunch to tariffs on peanut butter. And from 7:30, everything you need to know about getting into the buy-to-let game. All of that to come, but first, the very latest Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm Maki Malapo. The EFF is approaching the Constitutional Court to appeal a High Court interdict which stopped impeachment proceedings against President Cyril Ramaphosa. The